The time being 6:30, I declare the meeting open, councillors. We'll all be abstaining for our friend. We pray that our deliberations today will be objective and decisions are impartial, made for the benefit of the whole community. And then recognition of traditional custodians. Let us begin by acknowledging the Wongal people, the traditional custodians of the land on which this meeting is being held. We pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you. Apologies. Nil. Okay. Declarations of pecuniary interest or conflicts of interest. Okay. And then we've got confirmation of. Oh, sorry.
I move the minutes.
1 second. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Persons in the gallery are advised that under the Local Government Act 1993, a person may not tape record the proceeding of a meeting of the council or committee without the authority of the council or committee. Tape record includes a video camera and an electronic device capable of recording speech. Mobile phones must be turned off so as to not disrupt the meeting. Anyone, including councillors found using a phone, will be told to leave the meeting immediately and for the duration of the said meeting. An audio recording of this meeting will be taken for minute-taking purposes as authorised by the Local Government Act. This meeting is live streamed on Council's website to allow the community to follow Council debates and decisions without the need to attend meetings in person. Members of the public attending or speaking at a meeting agree to have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Strathfield Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that are made during the course of the meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. Okay. We'll get confirmations of minutes. March 7th March Council meeting. Moved by Councillor Data, seconded by Councillor Hall. In favour? Yep.
Just a query. Just on the item 4, it says to submit to CR need to record the 1,000 minutes. That's what's happening to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
Really?
Where's this? What are we talking about?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair. That is actually an oversight. Thank you, Councillor Haswarren. We have to update that. We do have,
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have the conflicts of interest now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Debate, councillors. What's the motion?
It needs to be amended. So how can you vote to adopt a minute that's incomplete that requires amendment?
You can defer it to the next meeting.
So I suggest you defer it to the next meeting.
Okay, so you make an amendment, councillor.
To the amendment.
I just sent you.
Do you want to defer that, councillors?
Yeah.
Are you making an amendment?
We just defer to it.
Yeah.
Defer it to our main meeting.
Okay. We have acknowledgements.
I just have one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to acknowledge the staff and volunteers who have put on the festivals that we've had in Homebush West and Homebush over the last 4 weeks, and one to go next week, which has just been absolutely brilliant. I think the residents thoroughly enjoyed it, and especially our children, because they've all had such a wonderful time. To the communication staff, well done, and through the Mayor to the General Manager to make sure the communications team gets a reflection from Council to say how happy we were with it. As much as the businesses weren't that happy on the Saturday morning in Homebush, I'm sure the next festivals we have in the Homebush area will be set up a little differently to help them. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other acknowledgements, councillors? Yes, Councillor Dada.
I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the Bangladeshi community here for donating a significant amount of money over the last weekends for kids on wheel. through the charity program. So I think that was a significant effort by them. I would also like to acknowledge that the local organization, Shaish, they celebrated Holi during over the last month. The Strathfield Council bringing a lot of community people together. It's a very worthy effort. Thank you.
Acknowledgements, councillors. Okay. The orders to allow him to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'd just like to move standing orders just to, we have a request to speak. From Mr. Darryl Chaplow.
I second that.
Darryl Chapello.
Is now exiting.
Oh. Go, Darryl.
Hello. I finally got here. Sorry for the delay.
Okay, go ahead, Darryl. Thank you.
Okay. Look, I'd like to speak about the issue of the drainage at Airy Park. I noticed a motion on the committee agenda. For those that don't know me, my name is Darryl Chaplow and I'm president of Strathfield Cricket Club. We've been a cricket club now in the area for 40 years, and for more than 30 years of that existence, we've been based at Airy Park as our major ground. We use Bark Huts Reserve as our secondary ground. As a bit of background, currently we've got 8 senior teams playing, including 2 veterans teams. We've got 9 or 10 age group for youngsters between 8 and 16. And we've got junior blaster and master blaster development programs for 5 to 7-year-olds. So in total, we've got about 250 active playing members from 5 to 55. So we use the ground just about every Saturday and Sunday in the summer period. And what's become noticeable in recent seasons is the problem with the ground's drainage. That's been highlighted in recent weeks by the significant rain we've had. So much so that we actually haven't played on the ground since the 19th of February. It's been closed now for the past 6 weeks. So that's right through our qualifying period, our qualifying finals, our semi-finals, and our grand final matches. And on 2 occasions, we've actually had to go outside the area and hire grounds in other areas. As late as recently as last Saturday, we hired Joe McAleer Oval at Blacktown in which to play our Masters Grand Final. We've also had to cancel our junior development programs on Wednesday afternoons because obviously we just couldn't, the ground just wasn't usable in its current state. So we're now in the position we're having to abandon those for the season, and we're having to refund parents' registration fees for those programs. I've got to say up front, the council staff do a great job in getting the ground ready for us, but even they're battling in the current conditions with the way the outfield is. I realise it's not unique to Airy Park because of the rain we've had, but during recent weeks we've had nearby grounds at say Rothwell and Ron Routley and Concord both able to play during that period. I can only imagine it must be frustrating for council staff at times to find that they've done a week's worth of preparation and only to find the outfield in a state where they can't really get a game on. Of course, we can protect the pitch area with covers and so forth, but we can't do anything about the outfield. Currently the ground's outfield's in a state where I think it's probably couple of weeks away from being in a playable condition for even winter users. And if the Weather Bureau have got the forecast right on Thursday, I imagine the ground will be back in a position where it'll be a couple of weeks before it dries out completely. So that's the dilemma we face. I should point out too that I'm not just looking at this from a cricket viewpoint. The ground's obviously a great community asset, and it's used by other hirers, casual people. It's used for community groups. Nothing for me to be there a Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, or late of a Saturday night, and find people using the ground for exercise or group meetings. So, in its current state, all of those things are being denied to the local community. So our options, as I see them, either we do nothing and we have an ongoing problem that's only going to get worse as time goes on, or we do something about upgrading the drainage there so that the problem is fixed going forward, and that we solve the problem on a long-term basis. So with that in mind, I can only support the motion, and I trust that council and the councillors will give the motion a favourable consideration.
Thanks, Darryl. Thanks for taking your time.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll resume standing orders.
I move it.
Councillor Paul. Deferred outstanding matters, nil. And then mayoral minutes, 8.1. So this is a review of requirements for managing trees on private land. I move that council undertake a review of Part O of the Strathfield Consolidated Development Control Plan, DCP 2005, tree management, to give consideration to the following factors: the merits of trees that are close, e.g. within 2 to 4 metres to a dwelling, related structure, garage or fences being considered exempt from the requirements of a tree removal or pruning application. The merits of removing any species of tree on the exempt species list requiring a tree removal development application, DA, to remove if over 8 metres in height. So 3 species of trees fall within this category. It's currently being Celtis, hackberry, camphor laurel and silky oak, all considered weed species. Assisting the many people who own pools in the local government area who have serious issues in relation to leaf litter, which pruning or tree removal could assist, and with new trees replanted in an alternate location to maintain canopy. The requirement to replant mature trees wherever they are approved to be removed on a 2 to 1, if not greater, basis. The merits of providing flexibility in tree removal approvals where mature replacement trees can be specified as a mitigation measure. Other best practice tree management practices in other adopted in the LGAs with a similar urban character and tree canopy to the Strathfield LGA. And 2, that a report be brought back to a future council workshop prior to a report going to council. Basically, this one, I'm sure all councillors have had the same phone calls where there are trees, because of the way that trees are now reviewed, basically all trees have to be of a certain type have to be done through a DA process. So what this is trying to do is to simplify the process, where if the trees fall within a certain category, that there would just be a application to council. Our arborist can go and see if this falls within those categories, which we would obviously workshop. And then basically that would mean that they would just pay an application fee. The staff member goes and has a look if it falls in the criteria, and they don't need to go through the same process as a DA. So it's just about making it a bit easier, streamlined for people to manage trees on their land that have, maybe become inappropriate over time. And obviously, I think the important part about it is replacing the mature trees on obviously a greater basis of what was there in probably a more appropriate location. So I'll put that to you, councillors. Yeah, Councillor Luke.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Are we voting or
No,
talking?
no, I'm speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're speaking, okay,
Yes,
you will speak.
Now, sorry, Councillor Hall's just asked,
Yeah,
she's
not
just,
going to stand.
just going to remain seated. She's got a back issue, so we've allowed.
I'd like to thank the Mayor for bringing this Mayor Minute. The Mayor and I discussed this last term sometime, and we both had it as our election campaign, election commitment. So this is exactly what I wanted to bring up, and I'm very glad that he has. He said if I did, it may not pass, but it will if you didn't bring it up.
Councillor.
So I think it's a very good motion, and I will certainly support it. And I'm glad you brought up the removal of the exempt species. I think that many other councils have that, and it's we should bring it in. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Barton.
I would support this motion as well because in the recent past, I've received many calls from the residents and there are always some issues related to some trees and when speaking with various officers, they also have mentioned to me that how they sometimes feel constrained in doing the thing that they think should be done. So I will be supporting the motion.
Okay. Yes, any speakers against the motion? No, I'll put the motion. Councillors in favour? Unanimous? Okay. Mayoral Minute 522, review of Strathfield Connector Bus. I move that Council conduct a review of the Strathfield Connector Bus service and prepare a report for the next ordinary council meeting that includes but is not limited to the number of users, the existing route and which stops are used most frequently, any demand or community need that is not being currently serviced, the possibility of a simplified route with an on-demand component, the possibility of promotional activities which need to be conducted to increase usage, and that a report be prepared for the next ordinary council meeting in relation to total operating costs and improvements that can be made to make the service operate more efficiently. Obviously, our council values the fact of our transport connectivity, and the bus has been in service for a few years now. Obviously, we've had COVID in the middle of that, but the bus service does cost quite a bit to operate. And I think, we do get some complaints in certain areas that the bus drives around with either no one or minimal passengers in it. So I think we do need to have a look at where this service is best utilised. I think also for our staff as well, if we have a set timetable and it's sort of more concrete, then our bus drivers also have a bit of certainty about stability in their jobs. They're not being called on and off for shifts. So yeah, I think we need to have a bit of a look at it. Obviously looking at budgetary implications. At the moment, we've got a lot of big things coming on board. Any debate, councillors? No, Councillor Charlie?
I just want to find out, at the moment for the Strathfield connector, right? Okay, how many the buses we have and how many employees we have?
Just through the chair, Mr. Clements.
Through Mr. Mayor, we have 4 buses, but at the moment, since COVID last year, we've been using two only. So there's 2 buses on a 7-day loop, about 12 hours per day, 7 till 7. 2 different routes, red and blue. They cross over out Inverest Park, so people can jump off one and get on the other to get to DFO,
Okay.
or to the library, Homebush West, and a couple of other places. So they do cross over at Inverest Park, but there are 2.
and staff members.
Sorry.
How many
How many?
staff?
We have around about 12 to 14 staff. They're all casual on our books. We do a roster for up to a 3-week roster, but a lot of those staff will also have other jobs as well. 80% of them come from Transport New South Wales, so they are on the same boat. They get casual shifts with them as well. So
Privatisation of our staff.
I can tell you how many customers we've had for last year for that.
We'll give a wait for the report, Mr. Clements.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's answer your questions, Councillor.
Yeah, I think for the bus service, we got to find out how many people use it, how much money we spend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. Anything further, councillors? No? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous? Okay, and so now it's sorry.
Minutes.
Councillors' questions to the mayor, nil.
Oh.
Questions with notice, nil. And reports from committee, reports from traffic committee,
I move the
moved
traffic.
by councillor Meeting, seconded councillor Hall. If I can just get just ask a question through the chair, through myself, just in relation to, sorry, relation to, it was item 6.2. So there's a proposal there and recommended that we implement this proposal. My question is just in relation to this sort of situation with the traffic committee. So we have items that come up to the traffic committee that involve expenditure. How does the council allocate that into our budget if it's passed by a traffic committee? Yeah, that's what I said. That's just where, if the money wasn't budgeted, then what I want to know is why, if there's a bit of a history here, we passed them through the traffic committee. It wasn't planned, it wasn't budgeted, but it gets done. So I just want to know how that works. If
Through the chair, I can only indicate to you the normal practice in councils is that there's a standard allocation for traffic related matters, assuming that's the case.
Yeah.
And all the traffic committee does is to provide statutory guidance for how that money will be spent.
Right, thank you.
And through Mr. Mayor, when this came up, if we didn't have any funds in that statutory funding, I will put that in that report to say at this particular time you couldn't do this, and it will be in the next year's budget.
Yeah.
But it is,
You've been
they can do this year.
Okay, good. Just checking. Okay, any debate, councillors? Any questions? No? I'll put the motion. Unanimous? And just give me some time, just councillors. Look, we've got a big meeting on and there's a lot of motions which are acknowledgements and letters, etc. So I move in accordance with section 13 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice. I move Council alters the order of the business paper in accordance with clause 8.1 and adopts the following motions by way of a single motion. 12.1, 12.4, 12.6, 12.7, 12.8, 12.9, 12.10, 12.12, 12.13, 12.14, 12.15, 12.18. Do I have a seconder?
I second.
Councillor Pinsabin. 12.18.
It's on the screen.
Sorry, just a point of order, which is just a question. What are you proposing
We moved all these motions.
at the
In
same
one
time?
block.
Yes.
No,
Can carry.
I find two of them quite racist.
Okay, so you indicate which ones will you indicate you're voting against, councillor?
So the ones that,
4.9 and 4.9 30s.
the one where it says the one that says non-European 12.8
Talk about that.
and 12.9.
Okay. So you're happy with all the other ones?
I'm a bit, I'm not quite, there's another one that's a federal matter. Who had that one? So enhanced coverage, that was that's a federal matter, or that, diversity is also a state matter, and then there was also, there was another one that was a state matter. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go through my notes some time, sorry. Interesting.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, councillor.
Oh, and 12.7, there are certain federal matters and my policy and my party.
12.7. 12.7 is about a council act.
No, 12.no. 13. My party policy is to not support anything that's state and federal. I supported the last one because last time on the constitution because it was a council matter and it was about council. But
Okay, 12.13.
those three motions are not local.
Yeah.
And state, they should be, I don't know where the state Labor member is, and he's the one that should be bringing them up and not here at local. And two of them are quite racist. I'm European, Mediterranean European.
So councillor Hall, you've indicated 12.8, 12.9, 12.13. You're not. Yep. Councillor Swain.
I wish to abstain on voting on motion 12.10 for that reason. I'd be somewhat concerned about moving it in blind.
12.1?
12.10
That is
correct.
Which one?
12.
12.1. Oh, 12.10.
Okay, that why, what should ask that about? That's why suddenly we are moving blocks and all.
Well, look, I think we've got 18 councillors, councillor data.
Right.
18, sorry, motions, councillor data. And a lot of these motions are about very simple things and about writing letters
Okay.
and stuff like that. And I think as a councillor, obviously, our objection is to get our motions passed. So if we're happy to have the motions passed, we all don't need to get up and everyone big talk fest.
So what are the ones which are not?
So councillor Maswarno,
I can wait.
10,
12.8, 9, 10.
Oh, okay.
8, 9.
10, 12.13. Yes.
I don't think there should be that.
Oh,
So councillor, sorry, point of order. Councillor Chai, there was one of them that.
Councillor, please, the councillor can speak.
Originally, I think about it to amend it to 12.8, you know, there's a word
Yeah.
of non-Europeans.
That's going to be, yeah, that's going to be off. That's going to be withdrawn from this.
Yeah.
We're going to debate it.
I have no
Separately?
worries for this one.
Okay.
Other
Oh,
than-
okay. So the ones that I put down, we're going to do it later. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so any, okay, so, yep, so I'll just confirm 12.1, 12.4, 12.6, 12.7, 12.12, 12.14, 12.15, 12.8.
18.
18, sorry, 12.18.
I think we're back to all over now. I have to go and do all my notes.
All right, then, so you get
Like
at
it.
least one of your motions up there.
So, Mr. Mayor, can you
Yes.
repeat again, 12.1 is
It's on the
blocked?
screen.
It's on the screen, councillor. The ones in there with the comments next to it.
Okay, 12.12. So for 12.12,
We're going to support it. Sorry.
yeah, so,
12.
if you actually read the motion, it says that the drainage of the cricket ground be reviewed as a
Yes,
matter.
councillor, are you going to?
I'm just wondering.
No, there's no debate, so it's a matter of if you're going to vote against it.
Shouldn't we have a report?
No, but we can get to it. Do you want to talk about it now or do you want to put it in the block?
Put in the block.
Yeah.
Thank you. So 12.12's in the block.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
so council alters the order of business paper in accordance with clause 8.1. It adopts the following motions by way of a single motion. So 12.1, 12.4, 12.6, 12.7, 12.12, 12.14, 12.15, 12.18. Okay, all those in favour, councillors? Yeah, carried. Okay.
So just to explain, all the ones in black, we're not going to debate
We're
because
done.
they've all
They're
been passed.
Thank you, councillor.
The ones in red,
And councillor, move on to 12.2. Notice the motion submitted by councillor Hall, decorative planting on verges. Do I have a seconder for the motion?
You didn't like that one?
Councillor Dada?
Okay.
Okay, councillor Hall, you have the floor.
I move that council provide a report that details a scheme for a variety of suitable plants to be issued to residents wanting to place plants on their verge. I don't know whether people have been driving around and there are some absolutely beautiful gardens that people have been planting on those verges. It saves on mowing the lawn. It looks so pretty. I've had people wanting me to send them photos from other areas of the LGA so they can copy them and do the same thing. So I was wondering whether council used to have a nursery, but I understand that we don't have a nursery anymore. So when I was thinking of this motion, it was on the proviso that we had a nursery that council could offer residents plants. However, well, it could be, $100 voucher if you wanted to do it, and then they send in a photo of what they want to do, and also maybe council can assist on what plants to put in there. I mean, we are not all gardeners. Some of us just really like it and would like to do it. Some of them are gardeners and they just know what to do. And so for those people that, like me, that love it and would love to do it but have no idea, maybe in the scheme, council can put in things like assistance, that council assist a resident to help out with advice, and maybe $100 voucher or a $50 voucher, and some assistance. That's basically what it's about. I've left it open-ended for the council to advise what they think is a good scheme that is with minimal cost.
Okay. Any debate, councillors? No debate? Councillor Ready?
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I have three things to ask. How to control who plants what?
That's what the motion means. That's what I'm saying.
Because
Yes,
that is. Chair.
Yeah, well,
Who wants
in
to
response.
plant what? Council really can't control. If somebody wants to put tomatoes and I'm like, oh, I want to grow some tomatoes outside my home because I'm making a maximum use of my land.
I think it's a great
idea.
Olive trees.
You don't live in gardens. And the other thing is, it's an additional cost to the council. And the most important is people planting random plants, everybody needs to do it so that it looks symmetrical and it looks nicer. In my street, we have plants, trees, everything is planned. I never knew what was the plan, but when the flowers bloom, I can see all our same flowers, but different colors, and they are crisscrossed, and there is a lot of planning goes into it. So what if in one street, two houses agree to have their plants outside with tomatoes, and the rest of them don't have it, and
They've got lettuce.
Cucumbers.
Everybody has something, and some people don't have anything.
Count.
We take off the uniformity of the council, of our roads and the look, and everything will go off. So I think we should stick to grass, what we have, because
agree.
grass is still green.
I agree. Oh,
This councillor has.
what are you planting?
Sorry? Well, I proudly plant on my verge. I'll speak to my neighbour about planting on my verge, and I won't be dictated to by council about what I'm going to plant on my verge. And I won't accept a report from council, and that's why I'll oppose it.
You want to what?
I'll oppose it because I don't want the council telling me what I should and shouldn't be planting on my verge.
It's a suggestion.
It's a big government initiative. It's counter to freedom. The current climate at the moment, where government is infringing on ordinary freedoms, is not one where we should expand into people's verges.
Thank you.
Right? Variety is what we want, and we don't want council prescriptions on these sort of things.
Thank you, councillor. Any further debate, councillors?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Yes,
Madam
I won't be voting for
Madam
this.
Deputy Mayor.
I won't be voting for this motion because a lot of our areas are in the heritage conservation area, and in that conservation area zone, you cannot plant on verges. So it's going to be very difficult to pass this through, so I won't be voting for this. And we've done this before and it has been rejected. Thank you.
You don't live here, so you wouldn't. Of course you
Oh.
don't.
Councillor.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So-
Yes, councillor Chai.
Yeah, Mayor,
You don't
I
either.
think,
Do
for
so.
these matters, maybe we council don't have to spend the money for these matters. But maybe council will do something to lead, these something to plant or something. Maybe we have a competition, something every year for the beautiful gardens. To encourage people to spend their time for their gardens. Good.
Not only.
Yeah, I think this is going off the.
Going off the track.
Councillor Chai.
So, in closing,
Closing, councillor.
I think it is, okay, are you all, with all due respect, every single councillor that stood up and voted against it, do you guys drive around blind with your eyes closed? Have you not noticed that there are garden verges everywhere? So what are you going to do? You're going to knock on those doors and say, we don't like your verge, you need to uproot it and get rid of it. Have you guys not noticed that they're already around? Has anybody not noticed that they're already
I
around?
have, and they're all dead.
They are not dead.
Oh, yes, they
They
are. Those of them that I
not.
see.
Councillor Hall.
I will certainly get photos, but that's okay. I will knock on every single door of those verges and those residents that actually would like to do it, but they just probably don't have time. And I'll let them know that, you know what, council has just refused the motion and you have,
Councillor,
and you should uproot it.
The motion hasn't been put yet.
So what I'm saying is, I can't, so you're all saying you've never seen them?
I have one from my house.
Councillor.
And you don't like it?
Councillor Mark's fine. It's not a debate. Councillor Hall's closing.
So,
Do you want to say something, Mr.
I'm just absolutely shocked that you are voting against something that already
Councillor,
exists.
you can't.
Well,
We'll
okay,
finish closing, we'll put the motion.
no, there are councillors that said they're not supporting it. So I am just shocked that those councillors, and by the way, it's not tomatoes. Do you see any tomatoes planted there? Are there any tomatoes? Are there any lettuce? Are there anything else? I mean, I wish there was olive trees. I mean, there are none of those things. And if you know what, maybe you people live, and there are actually in Homebush West, around the corner from Coralie Avenue, there is an absolute beautiful garden verge.
Am I going to complain every single day about that guy?
Let's put the motion,
I haven't
councillors.
finished. Excuse me, I haven't finished. I
Councillor,
get
the
tired.
time. It's already clocked over.
So
Councillor.
Ask a question.
it's already,
The councillor's closing.
I'm closing, and I am flabbergasted that it's turned into something that was supposed to be very simple into something that's politicised. But that's okay, it's everybody's option to do that. But I hope that you all knock on those doors and tell them that they should get rid of them.
Okay, we'll put the motion, councillors. All those in favour? Okay, against? Okay, I declare the motion lost. Okay, so 12.3, notice of motion submitted by councillor Chai in traffic in Hillcrest Avenue, Strathfield South.
I will second that.
So second by councillor Hall.
I already seconded, but anyway, councillor, I seconded it.
We have to stand up or?
Yes. Just councillor Hall, I've had an exception because of her back sore.
I move that a report be private for the June council meeting outlining potential solution to the traffic volumes and the school pickup and the drop-off times and the Hillcrest Avenue South Strathfield. I have received representation from the residents of the Hillcrest Avenue, South Strathfield, and the surrounding street about the volume of traffic around and pickup times. A report is requested on potential solution to this problem. Thank you.
Councillors debate? No, councillor Hall.
Good motion. Excellent motion. It's been a long time coming.
That's all? Yeah. I would actually just like to move an amendment whether the councillors would accept it. So I just think that the report should be provided to the June Traffic Committee instead of the June Council meeting. Yeah, you're both happy with that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so no further debate. I'll put the motion, councillors. Councillor Adder, unanimous? Okay, 12.5, notice of motion submitted by Councillor Chai, Chain of Ponds Reserve, Cave Road, South Strathfield. That's actually Strathfield, councillor, but do I have a seconder? Councillor Dana. Councillor Chai, you have the floor.
Yes, I move that the report is to be provided to the June council meeting detailing why barbecue facilities were not installed in the chain of ponds reserve and the option of consider this in the future. Rationale is a command officers on the significant amount of parks upgrade works completed in the Strathfield local government area. I know that the playground upgrade and recreation structure works were recently completed at the chain of ponds reserve. There are no barbecue facilities at this park, and the advice is sought on why these were not provided, whether these could be planned, and the cost to the council, and whether a funding source is available to undertake the work. Thank you.
Yeah. That's great.
Just a question.
Councillor Pensman?
Yeah, through the chair. I'm pretty sure in the last council that we put up a report to do exactly this, and the report was sent to the planning director. And can you just remind us, Mr. Clements, on why that didn't go through, please?
Through to you, Mr. Mayor. The report for the upgrade of Cave Reserve did include a barbecue. I reported back to the council there's no electricity available and no electricity in the park. And the barbecue was around about $2,000. To connect electricity through the main street was $15,000. So the council at that particular time went ahead with all the works except for the barbecue, only because of cost.
Any debate, councillors?
Can we just point of order?
Yes, point of order.
I just want to ask Councillor Chai whether he still wants to continue, knowing that the report's already been done.
I just
Yes, councillor.
I just want to find out whether we have any other options, to.
Okay. So you're happy to put the motion?
Yeah.
No, then that means he needs an amendment. So can I propose it? I'll propose an amendment. He hasn't closed yet. That the report be provided to June. That
Yes, councillor.
that the report be provided to June council. I do want to talk about the council meeting. That further investigations be conducted on other possible solutions for barbecue facilities. Now, don't ask me to repeat that.
Through the chair, just for the councillors' information, the recommendation does add options for considering those in the future. And my understanding would be the director would cover the kind of matters that you've identified as part of that motion, if that provides you with any comfort.
Yeah, I just didn't want council to have to again write the report of why the barbecue facilities.
That's the line.
But I suppose it's already been done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. If you're happy not to have to do that, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything further, councillors? No? Do you want to close the debate, councillor Chai?
You want to say
Yeah.
you want to say
Closed?
something else in support of the motion? You still can say something
Councillor
in support of the motion.
No,
Because it's already done.
No, councillor. Councillors, please. Yeah, do you need to close, councillor, or you're okay to put the motion?
Do you want to talk or all right?
Put the
no, I
motion.
can think about it later. It's okay. You can
No,
close
put
it.
the motion. The motion has to be voted.
Okay, we'll put the motion, councillors. Okay, all those in favour?
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm thinking of other things.
Okay. Then we'll move on to 12.8. Notice of motion submitted by Councillor Data, enhanced coverage of multicultural Australia in news and media. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Sandy Reddy. Yes, Councillor Data, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Time is on.
Mr. Mayor, this is the absence of multicultural representation in Australian media.
Councillor, I ask you move the motion first.
That the Strathfield Council writes to the state government of New South Wales and the federal government by 30th April of 2022, advising them to take appropriate steps to enhance the coverage of news and stories of multicultural Australians on TV and other news media, using the legislative process that creates binding obligations for both TV and print media, provide equitable coverage of the news and stories of multicultural Australia before all Australians. Point 2, create appropriate training opportunities for people from migrant background to just not only become spokespeople for other migrants, but for all Australians with an equal claim to shape Australia's culture and national debates for the broader Australian community. The rationale: the absence of multicultural representation in Australian media is appalling. 24% of the population is made up of Australians from non-European and indigenous backgrounds. Despite this, a report by Media Diversity Australia showed that they only appear on television screens or news 6% of the time. 24% of the population's stories only 6% of the time on the news. Less than 4% of all news and current affairs stories broadcast are about multicultural Australia when the population is 24%. Australia which call itself a multicultural country, too often forgets the narrative of refugees and migrants, is not critically mindful of their hopes and aspirations to the extent it could be. The daily struggles of their lives, these are making them an invisible population despite its large presence. There are countless stories of tragedy and triumph which are easily worthy of being told to all Australians, worthy of the big screen. I do not believe Australia doesn't want to hear them. I believe many Australians would like to hear them and will be inspired by those stories. I believe those stories can inspire many lives, create many role models, and contribute to the increasing social integration and prosperity, creating role models across all communities. There is very little opportunity or space for these stories to be told in the current environment. Australian government at both state and federal levels must create more space and support skills development for these stories to be told, for these role models to be created, for the potential of the multicultural people to be realized. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To all councillors, I would urge you to support this motion, and it is a very worthy motion, and I believe this motion, by creating skills, by supporting people, giving people a helping hand, it definitely can improve the social integration and prosperity of broader Australian, all Australian communities. Thank you.
Thank you. And the seconder, would like to speak, yes?
Oh, no, I've already spoken.
Any debate, councillors? Councillor Mahaswaran?
Sorry to occupy the time with this, but no, I would like to speak to the council on this particular motion and also motions like it, because I think this goes to what the work of the council is. I think it's a trite observation to say that the council, once upon a time you'd say, oh, it's roads, rates, rubbish, and somewhere in there residential or redevelopment got thrown into the mix. But overall, council does have a duty to engage in something called placemaking and to create a sense of community. I think that's correct. But you can have an infinite number of council motions relating to any number of matters that affect people within this area. And we could spend every single council meeting going through and drafting letters on every precise issue on which we have a political view. But in my mind, I would just be guided by two principles, which is that any motion that comes to this council ought to either affect the direct business of this council, or alternatively have something that is specifically within and uniquely affecting the geographic proximity of this area that the council covers, right? That's my view. I'll abstain on this motion, and I'll abstain on all similar motions from here on and until the end of the council term, because I really do believe that while these are not, nothing goes to the substance of what this is, it's just not the work of council.
Yeah. Councillor Pennsylvania.
I concur with everything that Councillor Mahaswaran has just spoken about. Thank you. And I will do the same.
Councillor Hall, you have the floor.
Okay, I cannot support this motion. We have one, it's a issue, probably a federal issue, because it's the ABC and the SBS are funded by the federal government. And so there is already two radio stations, two TV stations that deal with multicultural issues, especially SBS was created for that purpose. The other thing is, sorry, but Australia has a three-tier government: local, state, and federal. And so, shouldn't the state member be dealing with this? Councillor Data, you could write to your state member, and your state member could write to the federal. You can go, or you can go to a federal member, or you can go to somebody that's wanting to be a federal member, and they can take the initiative and write to the federal government. But to bring this to council, my party has a policy, National Independence, not to engage on issues that are federal, state.
Thanks for confirming the party, Councillor.
Very well. Yeah, I know. So we have a policy not to engage in motions that are not directly involving the residents in our LGA. I also find it really, I think it's offensive and racist to put in there Australians of non-European and Indigenous backgrounds. I am European, I'm Mediterranean. I was an immigrant. My parents came here with nothing except a box. That's what they came here with, nothing, but a box of clothes. And so, they did it really tough as well. The ones, like all immigrants, it's a hard slog to go to a new country for every single immigrant. And so to be labelled non-European, to be labelled as European as being something that is mentioned like this, I think is pretty outrageous, to be honest with you. And where's State Member of Parliament Jason
Lee? Yes,
Lee. So this is where we should go. He should write that for you, if anything. So thank you.
Any further debate, councillors? No. Councillor Data to close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for this input. And first, I'll say the relevance. I do not think that this motion is not a local motion. I think this motion is asking, if this motion is passed by everyone, this is going to be an inspiration for the state government or federal government to see that the local population believes it. The people at the grassroots level are raising these issues in the Strathfield area, maybe in other areas as well. So this is local. This may not have a direct impact in terms of towards rubbish and roads, but this is very relevant to everyone's life living in this area. There could be many citizens who live in this area whose life would be changed if there are efforts put in to uplift their skills, to uplift their capabilities. And so I believe that this is very much local. The second is non-European. It is just a statistics. It's not racism. All the time on the TVs, they are talking about people who are coming from various backgrounds. It's just part of the statistics. It's not a racism or anything. It is talking about 24% of the population made up of non-European backgrounds, or Strathfield Council reports divides people or classifies people by various backgrounds. So it is not racism at all. And this is what this came in a report in a broader media through a report published by Media Diversity of Australia. So it is a published report. And the other point I say that Councillor Hall was talking about ABC and SBS. ABC and SBS are doing the best they can. And despite that, and they have been there for a long time, and there have been a lot of efforts to cut their wings or reduce their capacity. And despite all that efforts, 24% of the population is made up of multicultural Australian background, and they are only on the media for 6% of the time. So what that statistics is telling us that we need more of that. Maybe we need 2 SBSs, 2 ABC, or maybe their capacity is increased. So it is not telling the other down, the other way. It is talking about increasing capacity. And there are many people, capable people, who from multicultural background are not getting the opportunities to be trained in the right way to develop their potential and change lives. And as you know, we all know, when there are role models in various communities, whether it is an Aboriginal community, whether it is an Indian subcontinental community, whether it is a Lebanese community, those role models playing their roles, they can raise the profile of the communities and can change lives. So, Mr. Mayor and councillors, I know what you said, and I am giving my closing argument. I think this is a very worthwhile motion, and this motion will, if the people of Strathfield, if the council of Strathfield approves it, that will inspire federal government or a state government to act on it, and that only can help people, and that only can help us. Thank you for supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Data. I'll put the motion for the.
No. Speaks. Oh, sorry.
No, you closed it.
We'll close it.
Sorry.
We're not on the next one yet.
I'm on the next one.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Data. Councillor Chai. Okay. Against the motion? Councillor Mayor Blackmore, Councillor Reddy, Councillor Hall.
And a point of order,
Yes.
if you're abstaining, through the chair, I believe that if you abstain, you must leave the room, otherwise it's taken as a no.
Yeah, through the chair. If a councillor is in the room and chooses not to vote, their vote is normally recorded as against the motion.
Against. So if you
Now,
want to
some
abstain-
councils do have a practice of recording abstain. Not sure whether we do here.
No, if you abstain, you have to
Okay,
leave
in
the
that
room.
case, you've only got.
Should I go under the desk for a second?
If you want to abstain, you have to leave the room.
I suppose it will be recorded as against the motion.
Right. The motion lost.
Use again.
Okay, 12.9 notice of motion, Councillor Data, diversity in the workplace, seconded by Councillor Sandy Reddy. You have the floor, Councillor. Is the timer on, Mr. Clements?
I move that the council writes the state government of New South Wales and the federal
Hold
government.
on, Councillor Data, sorry.
It won't start until it's actually
Read the motion.
Yeah, so, yeah, cool, thank you.
I move that the Strathfield Council writes the state government of New South Wales and the federal government by 30th April, advising them to take appropriate legislative steps to ensure both government and non-government organizations set racial diversity hiring targets and make them public to show they are seriously committed to tackling any racism. Encourage corporate leaders to be brave enough to speak directly about workplace racism instead of relying on fuzzy terms such as harmony or cultural inclusion. Implement fitting changes to motivate hiring managers to look for cultural add rather than cultural fitting when assessing candidates. A recent survey of 1,547 workers found only 27% of the respondents said their organization were proactive in preventing workplace racism. 43% of racially marginalized non-white workers said racism in their workplace was very common. About 95% of the most senior positions in Australian organizations are held by people from Anglo-Celtic or European background, while only 4.7% have non-European background. 43% of racially marginalized non-white workers say racism.
Councillor, please. Councillor Data has the floor. Thank you.
Did you stop the time?
They did, Councillor, yes.
Thank you.
You'll get your full 5 minutes.
Racism in the, no, Mr. Mayor, when I'm speaking, when somebody else is speaking, I'm listening. So they are at one time, there can only be one person.
Yes, I did let the councillor know.
Very good like that. Very good.
43% of the racially marginalized non-white workers said racism in their workplace was very common compared to just 18% of white employees. Subconscious bias in hiring practices is locking non-white people out of jobs, which they are well qualified, and holding them back from deserved promotions. Hiring managers often evaluate employees against a westernized notion of the ideal employee, preferring candidates with Western sounding surnames or stereotypical Australian accents. Looking for candidates who are a good cultural fit for workplace. This often means subconscious code for we are looking for someone who looks like us. Managers often recognize and reward Western-centric leadership style, such as extrovertism, self-promotion. Unfortunately, Mr. Mayor, the truth is people hire others that look or talk similar to them. What it does is there are some biases called group thinking and cognitive bias. That's what is promoted through this. With people in leadership roles and managers being typically about 95% of their most senior positions in Australia are held by people from Anglo-Celtic or European background. That's why most of the people in the higher authorities, in the hierarchies, are from the same background. So, Mr. Mayor, I recommend that Council write to the state government and the federal government to use the legislative power to address the situation. And I commend to all the councillors to please support the motion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Data. The seconder, would you like to speak, Councillor Reddy? No? Yeah. Further debate, councillors? Councillor Mars. Deja vu.
I've revised my comments from earlier. No, but I think that any motion that comes to the council should do one of two things. Should either have a direct connection with the services that council provides, or alternatively, the council be in a uniquely or substantially advantaged position to advance the issue which affects people or place within the local government area. And so, by way of context, if a motion was moved that directly affects, say, the Cooks River and the council services around it, that's obviously directly relevant. But there may also be room for advocacy, or, for example, on all riverine systems in Australia, the federal government is proposing to fund the remediation of polluted rivers across the country, because of both councils uniquely positioned as a council area that touches on all these issues, to advocate on it. And additionally, it's effective because council comes from a position of authority in advocating on that issue. And so I will again abstain. I will read out this statement in respect of every single time a motion such as this comes up, and then I will leave the room.
You should have like honey.
Councillor Hall, sorry, Councillor Hall.
I'm abstaining.
You can listen to the debate.
Oh, we can listen to the
When the
debate.
vote.
Oh, I want to abstain anyway.
Councillor Hall, you have the floor.
I'm sorry, but again, for the reasons that councillor, sorry, I'm not quite sure, councillor
Maheswaran.
because
Maheswaran.
Maheswaran. I'm going to include his comments as part of what I'm going to say, and I cannot possibly condone anything, one, that's not that doesn't have direct implication to our residents. And the other thing is that I find this quite racist with people, because down here it says with people in leadership roles and managers being typically white, about 90% of the most senior positions in Australia are held by people Anglo or European. That's me. I'm not a role in I don't have a position in one of those big corporations. But you know what I think? I think that we all are in leadership. How many organisations, associations do the, I'll start with the Italian community, with the Indian community, with the Sri Lankan community, with the Middle community. They have associations, they have organisations, and they are leaders. They're not nothing. They are leaders in our community. Look at the diversity here, cheapers, weepers. We've got the best diversity on the planet. So with this diversity, we are leaders. That's what we are. So I think I'll rest my case, but it's not a local issue.
Yep, Councillor.
And sorry, right to Jason Lee. He's your state member.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Sorry, Councillor Rennie, you want to debate? Yes.
Not debate, just I totally 100% agree with Maheshwaran, and it's not a local issue. It makes no difference. We are wasting time of the council and the councillors, and playing the victim card is no good. Being a brown background, I think if I have the ability, if I want to be a mayor, if I want to be a minister, I have to. I don't need recommendation. I need to be on a chair with my ability, not because I don't want somebody to give me a pity vote and put me on a chair. I don't want to play a victim card. So that's it. Sorry.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councillor, we'll let you debate. Councillor Chai. Why not?
I'm not very sure about something, but only one wording I'm not very comfortable about here, about something called non-whiting or something.
Which one, Councillor? Non-white people.
On the second point, the national. I think the discrimination maybe not just include whiting or not whiting, but we shouldn't use something like this, it's confusing. Yeah, because I come from the Chinese speaking background. My English may be not that good to understand. That could be caused the discrimination as well. It's not white or not white. Okay, but the other things, a lot of people have a lot of their says already. But this one, I think, when we make some motions, we shouldn't have something, cause maybe some of the discrimination.
That's right, Councillor. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Closing, Councillor Data.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I again personally think if the white, non-white that I mentioned, these are not my words. These are the words that are being prepared, presented by main media reports. So if someone wants to propose the amendment, I would be happy to.
Okay, so
take it out.
you're closing, councillor? So
Yes, I'm closing. So I'm saying that if someone wants to revise that, I could do that, but these are mainstream media reports that I'm talking about. And it is not about someone having, the people in organizations are selected based on some competencies. I'm just using any organization. There are 13, 15, 10 competencies.
I think, councillor, you're opening further debate.
No,
We're
I'm
closing. We're closing, so you've got to counter the arguments that have been.
I'm just saying closing. So people are saying, if somebody is saying that I want to be there on my own capabilities, so it means that one of those competencies is cultural fitting. We're talking about changing the way the competencies are played, just for recruitment. Maybe we can think about cultural add, not cultural fitting. So there are subtle things the way people are recruited. And I still believe that it is a very worthwhile motion. And I still believe that people with capabilities and potentials coming from various other countries do not reach their potential because there is a class ceiling. There is a barrier. And as an example, in some places where there are no women, but some political parties have taken action to increase the women. It is not about quota. It is about creating opportunities so that some people can break through the glass barriers. It is not quota. And some other parties, political parties, are aspiring to achieve the same thing. Probably will take some time because there is an inherent barrier to it. So it is not about quota. It is not about promoting people who are incompetent. It is about equity. It is about giving people right opportunities. So I still would commend that we support it, and it is very, very relevant because any good thing starts from one place and people see the benefit and it spreads across. So it is still very relevant for the people of Strathfield. It is very relevant for this council to write it to the state government and federal government to take direct action to counter this. I would appreciate if you all would support the motion. Thank you.
So he's already closed, councillor. So he's already closed debate. So we'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Datta. Against the motion?
And I can support the motion, sorry. Yeah, I support the ideas.
You're voting for the motion?
Yeah.
I take you as voting for the motion. Against, Councillor Hall, Councillor Reddy, the mayor. And I take note that, declare the motion lost, to take note that Councillor Mahaswamy and Councillor Pensabini have now entered the room. Now 12.10, notice of motion submitted by Councillor Data, flood and fire risks to be considered before selecting areas to build new homes. Seconder, Councillor Reddy. You have the floor, Councillor Data.
I move that the Strathfield Council writes to the state government of New South Wales that the Strathfield Council recommends that the risk of floods and fires of an area is taken into account for selecting areas before building new homes. Rationale: the Minister for Planning and Minister for Homes, the Honourable Anthony Roberts, has scrapped a requirement to consider the risk of floods and fires for selecting areas before building new homes. Only 2 weeks after it came into effect, and while the state was reeling from a deadly environmental disaster. Mr. Roberts recently revoked a ministerial directive created by his predecessor, Mr. Robert Stokes, outlining 9 principles for sustainable development, including managing the risk of climate change. The decision is difficult to understand, particularly with the recent and continuing devastating floods and with bushfires. The directives of Mr. Stokes revoked the directives of Mr. Stokes revoked had sought to address risk management and resilience building in the face of disasters. In the midst of current flood and housing crisis, why would a government choose to remove planning principles aimed at disaster resilience? This is a short-sighted decision that could have enduring negative impacts. I can only assume the builders and their friends would love it. Those 9 principles for sustainable development should be immediately restored. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, and councillors are urging to support this motion so that in the future, our low-lying areas or fire-prone areas do not suffer this kind of devastation. Thank you.
Okay. Just through the myself to the Director of Planning, Deputy CEO, how many new homes do we build without taking consideration of flood and fire and risk in our council area?
For you, Mr. Mayor, no.
Thank you. Councillor Reddy? Any seconder? Any discussion? No? Any further debate, councillors? Yes, Councillor Moses.
Phrase these as the in the wind motions, because it's akin to putting a piece of paper, let's say, in the wind and letting it go. So I read out that all council motions, there ought to be a direct connection with the services that council provides, or B, the council be in a uniquely or substantially advantaged position to advance an issue which affects people or place within the local government area. I think that this motion is probably borderline in that respect. However, I would also just note, and the reason why I'm rising to speak, is that this imputation in respect of the Planning Minister, Mr. Anthony Roberts, that is the words, this is short-sighted decision that could have been enduring negative impacts. I can't comment on the merits of it, but to say I can only assume that the builders and their friends would love it. I don't think it's a safe assumption to say that builders or their friends love houses that burn down or flood. And I don't think it's actually a fair imputation on the part of the Planning Minister to make such a suggestion in such a public way. I actually think that it brings this council to disrepute. I would suggest withdrawing the motion. I actually think it's incredibly unfair. I'm not sure what the motivations behind that directive were. I'm not really familiar with the subject matter of the directive. But I don't think it's becoming this council, in truth, and I feel quite strongly about that.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further debate, councillors?
I need to join my party with that policy. No, I'm more independent.
Councillor Data to close.
Mr. Mayor, it is, I'm happy to withdraw if that makes it changes. One sentence that Mr. Councillor Mahesh mentioned.
You're closing, Councillor. So.
I still think that as a minister, it is not about how many houses we build in Strathfield in flood-prone areas. Strathfield is not a flood-prone area.
It is.
There are areas in 1 in 100 years flood zones, but it is talking about allocating new areas or earmarking new areas, flood-prone areas where building can be, or low-lying areas where buildings can be approved. So it is relevant because if there is a flood like this year it is, and the insurance goes up, it will impact every life, including the lives of people living in Strathfield.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Data is saying that we have new areas in our area. If anyone's watching this video, they would be very, very confused about any new areas that are not intimated in a flood zone. And I'm a bit confused because I don't think we do have any new areas.
Look, I haven't heard of any land releases in our council
land releases in Strathfield Council, so I'm a bit confused on where we're discussing. Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I think I mentioned this, I'm not sure where it's coming from. This context of this whole motion is not Strathfield. This context is
We should withdraw it, Mr. Councillor Dunn.
It's talking about releasing land in low-lying areas. I think I've repeated that few times, and it is not asking about Strathfield Council releasing land or not. It is talking about a previous minister who stipulated certain criteria for releasing land for building houses, and the current minister has revoked those. So it is
Point
talking
of order,
about
Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
Sorry, councillor.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor.
I believe we all are under a great stress with our floods and what's happening in our state at the moment, but this is a local government area meeting and we should be discussing local government area issues. Strathfield Council has a flood mitigation policy. We follow it, and I think we should Councillor Data, it would be best in the interest of this council to withdraw this motion. Thank you.
It's not a point of order, but I'll
Oh,
take it
sorry.
down. Councillor Dado.
A statement.
Mr. Mayor, what I'm again saying that this motion, I'm happy to withdraw a sentence that Councillor Marshall mentioned.
Councillor.
But this motion itself is, I think, very relevant because if more and more flood-prone areas are released for whether it is in Strathfield or not, it's immaterial, and that will have an impact on everybody's life, including the people living in Strathfield. And I think those principles that were approved by the previous minister should be restored. And I argue to support this motion so that the state government takes the action and puts them in place so that in the future, the cost of insurance and the disasters are reduced, not increased. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, councillor. I'll put the motion to you, councillors. All those in favour? Councillor Raj Data, against? Everyone else, thank you. 12.11, notice of motion submitted by Councillor Data, garbage collection lead times and illegal dumping, seconded by Councillor Reddy. Councillor Data, you have the floor again.
That council takes appropriate action to reduce the lead time for garbage collection, cleaning to no more than a week once a request is lodged through the online service. That camera has been installed in some key areas to identify any illegal dumping and catch miscreants for taking inappropriate actions. Mr. Mayor, in the recent past, it has been brought to my notice that sometimes it takes more than 2 months if somebody is booking their garbage removal through online, and we see a lot of dumpings around the street in various parts. And of course, the council, when they are informed, the council's officers send their people and the garbage is collected. So particularly, my motion is about helping people who are moving out of the areas, helping them so that they can call the council and they can get their garbage collected if they are still entitled within their these three collections. So I urge you to support this motion. And maybe there is one amendment I would like to propose here is that the people who are moving out, their garbage should be collected in less than a week.
Sorry, councillor, can you just identify where you're making the amendment on the business paper?
Yeah, the appropriate action to reduce the lead time.
Is the point 3 or?
No, I'm changing an amendment for garbage collection cleaning to no more than a week once a request is lodged through the council online service by the residents who are moving out.
So after point 1,
The last
to add point by residents who are moving out. Okay.
The reason is that people normally gets about 2 weeks notice before leaving. So,
Councillor, are you happy with that amendment? Sorry, councillor, ready? Yes.
yeah.
Yes, councillor Gatta?
Yeah, so I recommend that to all of you that you support this motion, and it will reduce a lot of stress on the part of various people, and also it will reduce a lot of work for the council itself, because these kind of reports are coming to the council, council gets called, and they have to organize a lot of cleaning in a short notice, and I strongly think that that costs more than less. So this will be a planned way of managing garbage collection, and will reduce the cost, at the same time will reduce stress of the on the residents. Thank you.
Just through myself, through to the Deputy CEO. Obviously, we have a program for our council clean-up pickups, and I know there were some issues which we were all made aware of because of the recent flooding. How many council clean-up pickups are we doing every week? And yeah, basically, what's the current system?
Through Mr. Mayor. At the moment, our bookings are very heavy. So we usually do about 150 a week.
Wow.
On top of that, there are 60 every week at Corelli Avenue. 60.
Illegal.
That's 210
210 every week.
every week.
Yeah.
We have now extended that to 180. And I did a booking on the way up here tonight, Councillor Dara, and I could have booked in for next Monday. Okay? We have contacted people, we put them up 20 each week for the last 4 weeks to try and get a backlog. Secondly, too, it's very, very difficult for us as a staff member to be able to cancel other people's bookings because someone said they're moving out. If I put a button on there that says, are you moving out? Everyone will click that button to get preference. So we have to be a little bit careful and we try to fix it in. So what I've done in the last 3 weeks is up the ante. So now we're at 180 this week. Plus 64, that's 250 roundabout. And that's it. I can't do any more during the day with 2 trucks and 3 men. I'd have to put another truck on and another 3 men.
Wow.
If I want to extend that. We also pick up garbage on that day, on our clean-up day as well. That's one of our...
and illegal dumping, obviously.
Yeah, and illegal dumping.
Yeah.
Look, illegal dumping for people moving out is difficult to manage. We usually pick up at least a half a dozen each weekend, I'd say, easy. And that's unfortunate. We've written to all the real estate agents and let people know, but we have a few hotspots. I think your second motion says about we have a portable CCTV camera. It's moving down the Corelli Avenue next week. We're going to set it up in the park. We have dumping there. And we'll also set it at Loftus Avenue, another spot. We're going to take it down there. So I'll do our very best, Councillor, and hopefully we can catch up in the next, just give us a couple of weeks, we should be able to catch up.
So a question to the mayor, if I can ask,
Yes, Councillor Data.
just asking that so we had 130,
150.
150.
190.
180, I'm just saying, normal was 130 or 150?
150?
Plus 60.
Plus 60?
I thought you increased it to 190.
And it was increased to 180.
180 now, plus the 60.
64.
64. Is that a regular thing that has been increased, or is it just for this week?
No, we've been increasing it for the last 3 weeks because we get to summer's normally a really busy time for us, and we usually extend it over summer, which is what's happening now. In winter, we do not fill the 150 a week.
Changing the bin time.
We don't fill the clean up at 150 a week in the winter.
So
It is the summer period, which we keep an eye on, and especially this year, with people working from home, you find that they've decided to clean the house up. So the bookings over summer have been, and also too, Councillor, we're very generous here. In most places that I know of, any other council area, you get a maximum of 2 per year. You get 3 here. And some people use that. So we're trying to fit it all in. So from this week, we'll have 180, but our limit is about 250 with 1 truck and 3 men.
Yes, Councillor Pensman.
Yes, could I just say that I think Strathfield Council's rubbish and collecting of rubbish is one of the best I've seen and I commend Mr. Clements on his service. We had a meeting with the Centenary Park Strata people 2 weeks ago, and they were asking for an increase in collection because of the illegal dumping in their area. It was very, very difficult. Mr. Clements organised that for them, and they are now getting more than what they really need. But because of their situation in Centenary Park, they're actually getting that as a free service. Our rubbish collection is one of the highest money spenders of council. Illegal dumping is one of the highest spending money in council. If you look up the money that we've spent in council collecting illegal rubbish, it is absolutely astronomical. We need to do more by telling people how to reduce their rubbish, not how to collect their rubbish. So we should have a program, and I think our rubbish collection will be going into the CSP on building up a strategy on how we can collect rubbish efficiently and more effectively when there's less, not more. So thank you, Mr. Clements, for everything that you're doing for residents today, but I think an education program needs to be supported by council, which I'll probably put up next month, that we have to have an education program for our residents about the dumping of illegal rubbish. Strata needs to be more observant of it, and so do unit owners. They need to be, I think we may have to put in a fine if they don't tell their residents or their people who are renting that they just cannot dump rubbish on the street when they're leaving, then the owners of that unit will be fined. So that someone has to take responsibility, and I don't think it should be council because it's costing us a lot of money. Thank you.
Councillor Reddy?
I'd just like to amend the cleaning to no more than a week to just to be prioritized, because a week is really binding. Giving the mover a priority would.
Oh, I just think we should withdraw it. I really think we should.
It could be prioritized.
Sorry.
You're practicing in second, let's just get.
Prioritize once a
Lead time for
week.
garbage collection is clean to be prioritised through the online service by residents moving out. You're happy to accept that, Councillor Data?
Yeah.
Yes. Councillor Reddy?
Yeah.
You good? Okay. Councillor Mahaswaran, did you still want to speak to the motion?
No, I'm just,
Yeah, come on right here.
I will. I'm not exactly sure how to do this.
Yes.
So I might direct this part of the question to the mayor, but in my mind, and first I'd like to commend, this is a motion that directly connects to the point two is that in my mind, it would be appropriate for council to produce a report on these issues such as the feasibility of reducing garbage collection times to be able to guarantee.
It's already done
less than a month.
It's already been a report. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Councillor,
Well, then I would
the motion
call
about
that.
the cameras last
I've got,
recently.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
I've got nothing further.
Okay.
The only, I mean, if there was going to be an amendment, I would agree with
To
councillor
reproduce the report.
to prepare a report. But so the issues that I have is, one, I put up a motion, I don't know when it was, about cameras and illegal dumping. So we've already got that in place, and that's my motion, sorry, a bit behind.
Yeah.
So you might want to.
So much in front of
Okay, councillors, we're not having a landing discussion.
But given, you know, I was here last term. So that's one thing. The second thing is, through the chair, in order to implement this without a report, because you're basically saying take appropriate action. So you want basically action for this to happen. But in order for this to happen, there has to be money spent. So through the chair, I want to ask Mr. Clements, what's the cost? What, you know, not off the top of it, I mean, a summary or, you know, a ballpark figure. You know, it means more trucks, more employees, more trucks, more employees.
Okay, let's get an answer to the question and let's try and wrap this up, guys.
Excuse me, yeah,
I'm just having.
for us to have unlimited, be able to book in a week with more trucks and men, I need $100 million. The trucks are 300,000.
Right.
Okay, so we have to, and we've got 3 men on the truck. Which you have to under work health and safety for clean-up. But so that's what it costs. But I think we can timescale, just give us a chance. It's
an unusual time.
It is very unusual. I'm telling you now, we don't book anywhere near 150 in the winter.
Yeah.
We're lucky to get 100.
Mm.
So, as I said, I went in today on the way up here, and I booked in for next Tuesday, for next Monday. The council chambers getting the clean up, and let everyone know. I have to cancel that, remind me to cancel it, but I could get in. There was 11 spots left because we've moved everyone forward.
Mm.
So if you just give us a chance, I think I'll be able to back lock down.
Okay.
I don't know whether you need a report or anything, but I mean, if I can just give me a little bit of a chance, I think I can do it.
Just a question to the general manager. It was the floods that's caused us all the delays because there were no dumping grounds to take our trucks.
Yeah.
So that's why we've had this problem over the
We need to
last
take
couple
that
of
into
months.
account. The tips and transfer stations were closed for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And people don't realise that we couldn't even take the garbage truck, the garbage train from Chullora to Goulburn was shut down for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the transfer stations were full. So for 3 nights, I held garbage in the depot against the licence, but the EPA let us do it. And then for the next 3 weeks, we collected garbage from here and dropped it to Central Coast. Our garbage then started at 5 and finished after 7 o'clock at night for 3 weeks. Back and forth twice to the Central Coast for tip. I mean, clean up were the same. Just give us a chance to get back online, which we're doing. And I think we'll be okay.
Now back to you, Councillor. Were you making an amendment about adding a report? Because obviously the expenditure.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's two amendments. So I think the 2 amendments. Well,
Excuse me, Councillor Data. Councillor Hall has the floor.
so the 2 amendments that I'm proposing is to prepare a report to include the costs. And then the other one I'm proposing is after the cleaning to prioritise through the online service by residents who are moving out on a case-by-case basis. On a case-by-case basis. Because
Determined by the Director of Planning.
Because otherwise, as Mr. Clemens said, everybody's going to click say, yes, I'm moving out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like the council data to take into consideration what the director has said.
Yep, you happy to accept that amendment, Councillor Data?
Not really.
Yes or no?
No.
No? Councillor Reddy? No?
Which one? The 2 of them or one of them?
Both of them?
Councillor Data has rejected the amendment.
Which one?
Both of them? The case by case?
She made one.
One was by case-by-case basis.
And there's one a report.
It was both. They were together.
The report is rejected.
Councillor Hall was both.
Case by case, it's all talking about we have already talked about for people moving out. So that's the case by case. So it is already implicit in there.
What about a report?
The report was put against Councillor Hall's amendment.
There is no report necessary. That's
But what would it cost?
Councillors, so you're not accepting the amendment?
That's
No, Councillor Reddy? Okay. Councillor
Okay,
Hall?
so then, great idea.
Mhm.
Foreshadow. Let's do a foreshadow then, because I think it's an important motion. I think it's good for
Yeah.
council to
Councillor, can
show.
I just get some?
Look, I've got to make an apology to the elected in relation to this motion because I allowed it to get on to the business meeting. And unfortunately, the code of meeting practice makes it very clear that when a councillor is moving a motion that involves the expenditure of money, then all the councillor is permitted to do is to seek a report. And the prudent reason for that is that council doesn't inadvertently adopt a motion that costed $500,000 without realising it costed $500,000. My error in allowing this motion onto the business paper.
We amended.
I would suggest to councillors that you simply request a report and then when you have the information to be able to make a sensible decision, that you then submit the motion.
Can I ask a question to the chair?
Yes, of course, councillor.
I understood from what the Stephen said that we are putting 180.
Can you just directly a question?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a big business paper here. We've got
Yeah.
staff.
We have
waiting for
180.
meetings here.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
just what Stephen just mentioned that we are putting through 180 per week and 60 per additional things, and we are going to get into control. We are in control
Yeah,
now.
question, please, councillor.
So if that is already in control and we are online, I am not sure that why the additional cost is coming. It's the report, producing a report is going to the cost.
Point two.
Installing
We're
cameras.
filling cameras. We're having extra staff to prioritise people, councillor.
And to reduce
I
lead
think you
time,
should
we have
take
to add
the
cuts.
advice of the acting GM, Mr. Barrett, and have the report prepared, and let's vote on this, and we'll get a report and we can debate it when we have a report.
Through the chair, it may assist you, councillor, if you just premise the motion with that council seeks a report. And point 1 and 2, we will deal with both of those, provide a report, at which time, if you wish to move the council do something, then you have the information. And I do apologise again.
Yes, you happy, councillor?
Yeah.
Councillor Reddy, yes? All happy? Okay, no further debate. Do you need to close, councillor, or are you happy to go?
No, I'm fine.
Thank you. Okay, let's put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Okay, we move on to 12.13. Most motions submitted by Councillor Pennsylvania, statement of the heart. Do I have a
That
second?
was in bulk.
No, I haven't taken that.
Oh, did it?
Second
Oh,
heart.
sorry.
I'll second that, councillor.
Which one?
12.13.
I move that the mayor write to all elected local, state and federal representatives of the Aboriginal land councils and the local Darug organisations on behalf of Strathfield Council to express our support for the proposed national referendum. The referendum formally recognises Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples in Australian Constitution and the key principles of the Uluru Statement from the Heart. The rationale is are you going to do this to me, Sharangan? There is potential for two sovereignties to coexist in which both Western and Indigenous values and identities are protected and given voice in policies and laws. We as a local voice need to urge our state and federal members that this referendum is overdue. All levels of government are responsible. We all have Aboriginal and First Nations people living in our area, and it's been since 2017 that this Statement of the Heart has not been included in our constitution. The time now is for the First Nations people
12.13, councillor.
to get recognition and the referendum put through to the federal government. This came up in the local government. This came up in the local government conference in, when was it? February, May, June, May, February. Oh, we're only in April.
Yes, come on.
Yes, in February, and it was asked by local councils to put this through to the state and federal members because we do have a federal election coming through. We're a little bit late, we probably won't get it through, but it's to determine and is to say how local members agree with the Statement of the Heart, the Uluru Statement. So we need to just let people know in our community that we are supporting their wishes. Thank you.
Okay, debate, councillors. I said debate, councillors. Councillor Swan, is that a hand? I see.
Distinct impression that this was moved in.
It wasn't, no.
It was.
It was.
No, you actually identified it.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
identify.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
You brought it out.
Oh, because it was not directly,
You said it was.
through the chair. Can I please ask,
No,
councillor, could you just read out that policy that I want to adopt? It's not a local issue. Thank you, yes, so can I read? So
Yes,
I'd like
councillor,
to
let's-
read.
You have the floor, councillor.
There ought to be, in any motion, a direct oh my goodness, like my husband writing, lawyers, direct connections with the services that council
We know
provide,
what
or
you
that council be in a uniquely or substantially advantaged position to advance an issue which affects people in or place within the local government area. And love this.
And there is,
It's not.
we have a significant, we have 3%.
Yes, councillor, any further debate? You asked for this one to be
Find
withdrawn.
my notes. I can't find
4.13.
3% of Indigenous people live in our electorate.
Yeah.
3%.
It's a, but that's my.
Are you finished, councillor?
Yes, yes.
Yes, councillor Reddy.
No, I'm done. I'm ready to vote.
Yes, councillor Maswaran.
I believe that on my previous comments, this motion was satisfied the second part of that, which is that it's unique to the place of this area and the Indigenous people are uniquely part of this area. And I suggest we move this to a vote.
Thank you.
Business to get on.
Thank you.
You need to close that. You're good.
We are living on
Debate,
Mongrel
no,
land.
closing,
We are living on Mongrel land.
closing, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. We are living on Mongrel land. We need to vote and support our.
Thanks, councillor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Okay. Councillor Maswaran, councillor Dado, councillor Pizzabeni, councillor Blackmore. Against? Councillor Reddy, councillor Cho. And councillor Nella Hall.
Not a local issue.
Okay. Declare a carry. And then we move on to 12.16, notice motion submitted by councillor Mahaswaran, improving the accountability and transparency of councils. I'll second that. Thank you. You have the floor, councillor.
If you'll indulge me, I'm going to stand to speak. This is a substantial motion.
Yes.
To walk through the principles behind this particular motion, I think we can all be agreed, and I hope that we can unanimously pass this motion, if possible, that we can agree on the principles that the community should have confidence in the planning system and they should have confidence in the integrity of the decisions that are made by this council. And that's not just that the decisions do have a level of integrity. There's no suggestion that they don't, but that they're perceived to have a level of transparency, and in particular that there is no perception of favoritism in respect of those that approach council with respect to matters that have a significant financial impact on the community, and as well as particular people that engage with council, not just in respect of DAs, but in respect of major tenders. Also note that in recent past, public inquiries have shown that there are individuals that exist in the community that prefer to have preferred access to council laws or to council. Whether that's true or not hasn't really been proven out, and more often than not, it is the case that these people have no special privileged access, but rather offer that to those that are dealing with council. Council would not be aware of that, but the way to create a system in which there is no perception that council can be influenced is by adopting a code of practice that increases the level of transparency, and that, especially in this day and age where online registers and the recording of information is extremely easy, can be achieved by the publication of information about who council is dealing with, how they count, and how they are dealing with them. If you'll indulge me, I'll go through the principles on which I believe that a policy should be adopted by this council after it's been thoroughly reviewed by our very capable council officers, so that they can finesse the fine points about how such a policy would work. In the first instance, any person or organisation seeking to lobby Strathfield Council's employees or officers with respect to a significant development application, which is later defined as having a value over $5 million, or a planning proposal or a significant council tender, shall be listed on a public register, including the date of the approach, the purpose of the lobbying, and the person undertaking the lobbying, and the details of any meeting between council and the person. The purpose of this principle is to ensure that those that approach council, who council deals with, cannot be unduly influenced, and there's no perception that there is undue influence. Second, the public register reflecting the information in Principle 1 should be published, which is a matter of transparency. This is modelled on the State Register of Lobbyists at the ministerial level. With respect to Principle 3, there can be a perception of favouritism, which is most likely untrue, whereby if any council officer or employee meets with a particular developer outside the council premises with respect to a council matter, this sets a standard by which there is an expectation for council officers and employees to adhere to. With respect to principle 4, where there be a perception that certain developers or persons have preferred access to council, then there is a clear record by which it is shown that council has not dealt with someone in a preferable manner by giving them access that other people are otherwise unable to access. Finally, and I skip to one that is significant for councillors. With respect to principle 6, we deal with the common approach of persons that are unhappy with a DA that is currently before council, but they may seek quite legitimately to approach their elected representatives to raise concerns. It would be useful both councillors, the proponent and council, if such a person was instructed to provide some written evidence of what they intend to approach a councillor about. And so councillors can rely on that written evidence should they be queried about why they've made representations on behalf of a person that is dealing with the council in respect to something with a major financial interest. I also note that ICAC has a guide for councillors, constituents and other interested parties. Unfortunately, that is a principal document and it does not implement practical guidelines on how to reduce actual perceived favourable or unfavourable treatment for persons lobbying council. It would be incumbent on council's officers to prepare practical measures by which councillors and council officers can adhere to that would ensure that there is no perception of perceived favouritism or unfavourable treatment by council. I note in moving this motion that I'm not specifically intending to specifically targeting or addressing any specific conduct, but rather to improve the general transparency and integrity of council. And I would recommend the motion to councillors for discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
I second. I'll just speak quickly. I commend Councillor Maheswaran on this motion. The big change, I'll just ask you to consider one small amendment, just in the, I move that council's officers draft a policy, instead of the word along, I think it should say considering the following principles for consideration and adoption.
To consider.
Yeah. If that's okay with you, Councillor Maheswaran.
Mr Mayor, would you set the words with consistent with? Would you set the instead?
Yeah, consistent, yeah.
Consistent with
Yeah, consistent with. Yeah. Yeah, look, I probably the one thing that I've noticed after becoming mayor is that there are things that are set in place for the office of the mayor in relation to these matters. Those same disclosure forms and things like that weren't available to me as a councillor. So I think having some sort of thing there, obviously for the staff, for the councillors, to have a set protocol and have this sort of transparency is a good thing. And it says to these developers that they should be just coming and seeing our council staff. They actually shouldn't be approaching us where possible. We don't want these sort of backroom sort of conversations. That's one point. The only thing I say about just not directing it along the following principles is mainly just because obviously our area, when you say a value over $5 million, there's a lot of homes that get built in Strathfield which are above $5 million. So I think just when I'm saying considering or consistent with, is just to give our staff a bit more flexibility, that maybe we have like a specific sort of rather than a value, whether it's the staff can maybe consider the type of development or something like that instead. But I commend Councillor Maheswaran for this motion. I think it's a good thing for council. People need to know that we don't have planning meetings as well. We don't vote on these matters. And I think the good practice will be that people are comfortable to come to council and approach the council rather than thinking that they can contact councillors. Any further debate?
I'll just move to amend the motion then in respect of where in principle 3, it says with the value over 5 million, adopting language should be consistent with your comments, Mr. Mayor. Rather in those brackets, we would say the words regarded as high value. And we'll leave that open to the discretion of council to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with.
And the only thing I'd add by way of comment is that I think it's entirely legitimate for builders and developers to approach the level of government that regulates them and the elected representatives in that respect, and they should feel comfortable doing so. But there should also be transparency in respect of them doing so and matters that they wish to raise, and that they certainly shouldn't take heed of any person or lobbyist that represents to have any special access to at least this council, because insofar that I understand it, there is no such relationship that could exist, and they should feel comfortable approaching the elected members of their government to the extent that they aren't happy with the way things are being dealt with, providing always that they've approached council officers first and gone through the proper measures.
Councillor Reddy?
It's not a debate. I just need a clarification.
Yes.
I don't know, probably Mary or, do we have a policy or procedure or anything with
Through
this?
the chair, you asked.
Oh, sorry. Do we have any policy or procedure in place, protecting, guiding kind of councillors and lobbyists and all that stuff? Or do we have none in place and this is the first time is it coming to the council? Because I don't know, I just would like to know. If there is already a policy, are we going to amend it or are we going to write it? Scrap it and write another set of policies? Like,
Yeah, I'll just,
what are we doing in this regard?
probably I think Melinda is probably, or
I'm not aware of what policies.
So through you, Mr. Chair, council doesn't have a very specific policy which covers this issue. What it does cover in the code of conduct is interaction with councillors by lobbyists and also staff in regards to meeting on premises is covered in the code of conduct. So they're what we have at the moment.
Are these meetings recorded somewhere or is it just a guidelines?
Staff especially are aware that it is good practice that we do take minutes, and I do know, and Mr. Clements may be able to provide further comment, we are routinely advised to take meeting minutes and to put them within our official records keeping system as part of our records keeping process. But Mr. Clements, do you have any?
yes, it is.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, all of our paid staff, every one of them have been through the ICAC course. They've also adopted the policy listed by ICAC after the Wollongong inquiry. We do not meet outside here. We do not meet on our own. We always have two planners, even if they want to see me. And everything's recorded and placed in us. All our notes are recorded. We actually have, each planner has their own notebook. That notebook is then put on file, and that notebook is also put into our record system. That's what we do, but that has been a practice for most planners for a long time, to be honest. We do not have a policy such as this, with these principles, such as this specific.
Yes, Councillor Hall.
Thank you for changing that 5 million. I was going to raise that issue. My other issue is where you've got principle 5, formal minute of any meeting with a lobbyist for a development application, comma, and planning proposal. So what's the definition of a lobbyist? Because, is a lobbyist any developer, a person that is not registered? Is it just registered lobbyists, or do you want to expand to lobbyists, applicants? Does it mean architects on behalf of? What exactly does it mean?
Through the chair, it might assist the councillors. This motion, if supported, will result in us coming back with something, and it's probably appropriate that we deal with those definitions as part of, fleshed out document. These are principles I understand the councillor wishes to embody in a policy.
So, sorry, I'm speaking.
You can't speak.
Oh.
You can only close.
Are you finished?
Okay, there's no further debate. Did you want to close, councillor Maxwell?
Sure, I'll take the opportunity to close to address one thing raised by Mr. Clements, by the chair, which is that council does have these policies that council officers, I have no doubt, adhere to, but it's not in a publicly documented form, which ought to be available to the public to demonstrate that council officers are acting properly and have measures in place to ensure that things don't occur that ought not to occur. That's the first point. And in respect of how we define a lobbyist, I'll just say by way of general comment that there are two ways of addressing this. One is to adopt what's in the Lobbyist Act, that is lobbyists in the state of New South Wales. That's not intended by this motion itself. Rather, a more encompassing definition is envisaged, which no doubt council officers will try practical, which is that it is a person that is undertaking lobbying on behalf of another person in respect of something for council. And that's something that's quite significant, because if we look at the inquiries that have occurred in the past 7 years, the public inquiries that have occurred, they've almost invariably involved a person that has no direct financial interest, assumedly, in what is before council, approaching members of council on behalf of another person, and neither being a registered lobbyist or being a proponent under the DNA. Again, I do commend this motion, and I do hope that such a policy may be something that other councils might look to and see as a good idea and also adopt, and that would be something that this council would do, which would be beneficial for the entire state.
We are leaders in that area, council.
You're finished there?
Oh, sorry, that's.
Yep, okay. Okay, so I'll put the motion, councillors. All those.
Point of order?
Yes, councillor Hall.
Can I just keep talking and asking questions until a councillor Chai comes back?
Look, I don't think you can, councillor. Councillor Soren had plenty of time to think about that.
Question, and just, I'm sure there's other things that he wants to add.
No, look, councillor, we can't do those practices. It's.
Well, you're coming, the toilet,
actually,
I just heard the toilet
Look,
flush.
councillor, please, we can't do those practices. We can't try to talk longer just to make sure
Filibustering.
that councillors make.
There he is.
Councillor Chai, how are you? And put the motion, councillors. All those in favour?
Which one?
The long one,
The long
the
one.
longest one.
The 12.16,
Yes, yes.
unanimous. Thank you, councillor. Right, declare the motion carried. 12.17, notice of motion submitted by councillor Maswarren, community advocate, clarifying motion 4.14 on 1st February 2022, council meeting. Do I have a second for the motion?
Me.
Councillor Pensabene. On the floor, councillor.
It's an amendment. It's one, it's not 11.
Councillor Bullock.
First page.
17, so should be yours.
Did that go through
First
17? Did that go through the block?
Right.
No.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yep, so look, I won't go ad nauseum because I have already. The Waverley Council's adopted a similar position, and this is what was envisaged by motion 12.14, 1 February 2022, which is, 11 February 2022, which is that quite often the community's views with respect to development is not refined sufficiently to be entered into the planning system. And as a result, that is often misconstrued as either being opposed to development as a whole or not able to articulate in a way that the planning system can easily adopt development that is supported by the community. The purpose of the position of a community advocate or a person such as that to undertake some of the tasks that would be involved in, for example, LEP review, would be to provide an independent position that advocates on behalf of the residents independently of the constraints that the council otherwise has, so that between where, for example, the department may create a view in its strategic planning, and where council may take a middling view with respect to what is both feasible and what is consistent with that strategic plan. The ultimate list of desires of residents can be articulated in a way which is still understandable. I will say that in the last 3 months, at least one other council has adopted a similar position and a similar structure. And so I would recommend this to the councillors as well.
No, I'm good.
Any further debate, councillors?
No.
Okay, put the motion. Unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to CEO 1, council tenders, advertising and
Point
awarding.
of order. Sorry, I do have a point of order.
Yes, councillor.
I'm sorry, what I didn't quite, and I was going through my notes,
Hmm.
Motion 12.18.
That's been passed, councillor.
I have spoken to councillor.
Yeah, councillor, it's been passed. I understand what you're going to say.
Yes, it's a
And
duplication,
it is a duplication.
and I was hoping
doesn't
that
do anything.
council might withdraw it.
It's been passed,
been
councillor.
passed.
It's been passed. That doesn't mean I can't change it.
Yes, again. Yes, it does.
Wrong answer. All right.
It's been passed, councillor, and thank you for all your work you did with the
South
Strathfield South Committee of One, and thank you very much. CEO 1, council tenders, advertising and order. Do I have a mover for the motion?
I'll move it.
Councillor Sandy Reddy, seconder. Councillor Pensabini. Any debate, councillors?
No.
Put the motion. Councillors? Okay, unanimous? Okay. CEO 2. Okay, recruitment of general manager,
I'll
moved by
second.
Senator Reddy, seconded by councillor Pensabini. Okay. I've just got councillors here. This is just a bit of a timeline, rough idea just about the process that's proposed. This recommendation, though, is obviously to select the panel to conduct the selection of a new general manager. And what I would like to put to the councillors is that we amend the recommendation, and where it says either one or a limited number of other councillors.
I move.
Sorry.
What's the RFQ?
Request for quote.
Request, okay, thank you.
Request for quote.
What's the question?
Sorry, councillor, you wanted to say something, you seconded, so.
Yes, so I'm going to move that the,
Sorry, I'll let you speak first.
yes, I was walking.
Yeah, my apologies, councillor.
So where did you get up to, Mr.
Look,
Mayor?
I was just making an amendment, but you're the seconder, and I'll give you the right
What was the
to.
amendment?
I was just deleting this point here, and I hadn't continued, so
Oh, okay, yeah, I agree.
I hadn't made an amendment.
You don't.
So you're speaking, councillor.
Are we
You're the
nominating
seconder.
people, or we have? to
Yeah,
ask people
basically.
first?
Well, I was just going to nominate.
Oh, right,
But
Okay.
if you want to, you're the seconder. I'm just saying.
well, I
Giving
was,
me the courtesy you wanted to.
oh,
speak
just a
before.
question through the chair.
Mhm.
Has any councillors, shown interest in regard to being part of the panel?
Look, I mean, 2 councillors have requested interest on being on the panel. No one else has spoken to me. I don't know if they are interested or not. Obviously, this panel is to do certain parts of the process to get down to the get through all the initial stuff, and basically I've put a program there what's recommended. So I've had a request, and this is what I was going to amend. I've had a request from Councillor Raj Datta and from Councillor Benjamin Chai to be on the panel. So that would mean the recommendation would then read, instead of either one or a limited number of councillors, it would read Councillor Raj Datta, and then below that, Councillor Benjamin Chai.
Big two?
Well, look, I'm putting that recommendation. So it's up to the councillors. Obviously, we can decide what the panel looks like. And I open it obviously just for if there's any debate, councillors at all.
I'd just like to say, because I'm choking on a lot, I'd just like to say that we should be equal in our way we distribute, the way the council, the panel's set up. So, and I think we should distribute it in regard to where we sit in regard to what parties we belong to. So the mayor is Strathfield Independence.
Yeah.
I am Labor, and I believe the person that should be on the council to make a balance would be either Ben Chai or Nella Hall. But as Ben has put his name up, I suggest that Councillor Chai would be the preferred panel member. Thank you very much.
So just one.
I think we only need one. Yeah.
So are you moving that as? Well, you're actually the seconder, and Councillor Reddy's moves the motion.
Yeah, I'm asking.
So I actually, was my amendment accepted by yourself? And,
yes.
No, my amendment, which was.
No. I only want to put one name.
So you're rejecting my amendment?
I'm rejecting
And
it. But I don't know. Did you?
So what is your? Well,
Let's put both.
She moved it. I second.
So you've moved it. You've accepted 2 names.
Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Ratta and Councillor Rajdat, sorry, and Councillor Benjamin Kai.
Yeah.
And you have Chai, sorry, and you're the seconder. You've rejected the amendment.
Well, I believe we only need one.
Okay.
Yeah.
In which case you're left with through the chair.
Seconder.
You're left with you need a seconder.
Yeah. So can I get a
ready?
Seconder, Councillor Rajdat.
That should foreshadow. I'll foreshadow.
Yeah, Councillor Pennsylvania.
Sure.
This is where
We've got to vote this one.
This is where we get confused.
Yeah, the foreshadowed motion is accepting that there's just one extra councillor, not 2. So I'm
So your foreshadow.
my foreshadow is just Ben Chai on the committee.
A question.
On the
It's-
Yes,
panel.
Councillor Hall.
It's
Sorry.
either one or a limited number of.
Yes, but Councillor Savini seconded. She rejected the amendment that I made. Okay. So now you've got Councillor Data has moved the motion with you, with the amendment I made, which says Councillor Data and Councillor Benjamin Chai. Okay, and okay, do we want further debate on this motion?
Could I just clarify through the chair?
Yes.
What we have is a motion, and the motion is essentially to appoint a panel that includes the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Data, Councillor Chai, suitably qualified independent person, and the recruitment consultant.
Yep.
If councillors vote against that, there is a motion, a foreshadowed motion that, and it would be the only motion left, that would include all of that without councillor Data. So if you vote against this,
If you vote for the first one.
if you vote against this first motion, then there will be a foreshadowed motion that will then be put to council that will only include councillor Chai. And I suggest just put the motion. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll put the motion, councillors. Moved by Councillor. This is the first motion.
Yep.
So this motion is with, as we were saying, with there'll be 4 councillors on the panel: Councillor Raj Data and Councillor Benjamin Chai. The other motion is just to have Councillor Chai. But we're working on this motion, moved by Councillor
Just
Reddy.
a question, Mr. Mayor. So
Yes.
if this motion wins, there will be no shadow motion.
Correct.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
Question?
I'll allow a question, Councillor Hall, yeah.
I'm just wondering, because this is appropriate, relevant to both motions. A suitably qualified independent person. Is there a definition or what the suitably qualified independent person?
I'll put the question to
Yeah,
the acting
through the chair.
general.
Look, often in these kind of situations, councillors benefit from someone independent other than the recruitment consultant who was obviously working for the elected council in trying to find the best candidate. Often that is a general manager from some other council. I would suggest, given the kind of gender mix you've got on the panel, you would be looking for a female general manager from another council probably within Sydney, to be practical, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to attend the interviews. So that's the kind of independence you're looking at. Someone who understands the job intimately, who can assist the elected council through the process.
But isn't it GM a very close-knit community and everybody knows each other? And so how are they going to be independent if they know the applicants? Are they going to have to declare it? Are they going to have to excuse themselves? I mean, it's such a small industry that everybody knows everybody. So how are we going to deal with that?
Through the chair, I am not in a position as the general manager to debate councillors about whether or not it's a good idea.
No, I'm not debating. I'm asking the question. How would you deal with it? How would we deal with it?
The independence.
Well, I think the reality is
if you had a GM that knew, if the independent person was a general manager and he knew and he's a friend, has spoken to, knows the people that are being interviewed,
Declare it.
how would we, the panel, deal with that? Would they say they declare it, they have to excuse themselves? What would happen?
Through the chair, I'll make two observations and then hopefully you'll be able to consider the matter. The first observation is that general managers are trained to deal impartially with every matter they deal with. And if you selected, I would suggest you select someone with some experience who would be able to apply that experience in a completely impartial way. Second observation I would make is it would be no different to that in relation to the independent member than it is to any councillor here. Every councillor here knows general managers from other councils. They might have worked with general managers from other councillors. We are relying on you to bring independence to the job. You should be able to rely on an independent person to do that in any case.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, Councillor Hall. So that's the last one.
Councillor,
How many people is going to be in the panel total?
Well, that's what we're voting on now, Councillor.
No. I mean, for the councillors, it's 4, right?
At the moment,
Or
this
3.
motion we're putting is 4 councillors, an independent person and a recruitment consultant.
4 councillors.
Can I just,
Councillor,
I'll just
Sorry.
finish,
The
Councillor
acting GM we just mentioned about, maybe, the recruit staff, professions, maybe not the balance for the voting, right? Maybe a little bit weak of the voting powers or have the same as like a person to be voting for that.
It's on here.
So they're on the panel,
Yeah.
okay? And then the panel, the decisions get consulted with council, and then towards the end, obviously, if they want to meet the person, then the whole council involved. The whole council makes the final decision. Councillor Chai.
The panel,
Okay, the panel is just
interim.
Is just to go through the processes and nut it down to,
since we haven't gone to the
Yes,
vote
Councillor.
yet, can I, Councillor Chai, we spoke, I think it was that Saturday and recently, that if Benjamin Kai, the Councillor Chai, is not available, given that I agree with Councillor Benzapenny that there, it all should, representative of each sort of party, that if he's unable to be present, that I be substituted so that we can be, if he's not available, then I can substitute.
You be the alternate.
Yes, the alternate, yes.
Through the chair.
Which may not happen.
Through the chair, in order to try to avoid complicating this matter, it would be the job of the consultant to select a time for interviews that all members of the panel can attend. That's their obligation.
Okay.
And my experience is they're quite capable of it. Even if the interviews are done at night, or on weekends, sometimes that's how they ensure that all councils, because many councils have got plenty of other things to do.
So
in their
did
life.
the applicants.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll put the motion, councillors. It's the motion moved by Councillor Reddy and Councillor Data, naming the councillors on the panel members, the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Data, Councillor Chai, Independent and Recruitment Consultant. So I'll put that motion to you, councillors. All those in favour? Sorry, councillor?
Done.
Yep. So councillor Sandy Reddy, Raj Data, Mayor, councillor Benjamin Cho. Against the motion, councillor Hall, councillor Pensabini and councillor Maxwell. Okay, the motion carried. Okay. CEO 3, use of West Invest Funding Leisure Centre. Do I have a mover for the motion? So ready, seconded by councillor Maxwell. Debate, councillors. No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Councillor Hall, you have the floor.
Oh, yeah. So I have a couple of questions. Oh, hang on a minute. This is about,
Money,
About the grant fund.
grant fund, no.
to be applied to the,
Oh, don't want free money.
yeah, but it's the other 20 million, 25 million that I'm concerned about. It's the other 25 million.
Okay, are you debating, councillor, or should I move on to someone else? What you're thinking?
I would like to, I would like to have a clarification.
Question
So,
or you debate?
question.
Yeah.
Question.
I'm seconding the motion.
Councillor Reddy moved the motion. Councillor Mahaswaran seconded the motion. Yeah. Councillor, do you need time because there's other councillors that want to speak?
Oh, no, let others council speak.
Hmm?
Yeah, let others the council speak.
I don't know.
No one wants to speak.
No?
We're ready to
Okay,
vote.
so now you want to,
Yep. So you're speaking, councillor? Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't get the opportunity to second it. I raised my hand, but you obviously.
You must raise your hand very small.
Okay. Yes, councillor.
I just want to, I comment this motion, but I want to put an amendment to it. The amendment is that the capital investment analysis of the leisure center take into account the building and operation of a multi-purpose indoor courts and a function center. That's the amendment that I'm proposing.
Sorry, what's the amendment?
So can I, is somebody writing? Sorry. So the capital investment analysis of the leisure center takes into account the building and operations of the multipurpose indoor courts and the function center.
Function center.
Leisure.
The use of the.
Oh,
Can I just quickly, councillor, just through myself, if I can ask the director of the office of the CEO, I believe councillor Data's trying to speaking about the multi-purpose use of our indoor courts to hire it out for functions.
Yes,
Yeah.
that has not been taken into account in the case at the moment, but it can be. There is no reason why it cannot be into account. That's actually, but
Yep.
I mean, this analysis also doesn't take into account the grant funds, obviously. So because it was done before the grant was offered. So yes, that it can be updated, check those things.
Is that with the wording? Sorry, just through the director. It says building and operation. I don't think we're not building a function centre.
No,
So I think that's the. I just
No,
want
it's-
council to consider the wording.
we're using,
I think it's the account, the
the
operation.
idea is to use the multi-purpose
I think we
courts
should
for function.
take into account the operation of the multi-purpose indoor courts as a function centre.
I would say for functions rather than.
Okay, multi-purpose courts,
for function.
for functions.
For function center, yeah, that.
So for
functions.
functions, it can't.
A fully operational function centre, and it's not going to be.
That's what you mean is the separate or just using the.
For functions as a function center.
Yeah, well.
For functions as a function center.
They won't get up, Councillor. Sorry, I withdraw. I'm just trying to give you a help, Councillor Dale. You want to make sure that the capital investment analysis takes into account the operation of the courts for hiring of functions. Yes, Councillor?
Hiring for functions, yeah, for.
For hiring,
For function.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're happy with that, councillors Sharingan and Mahaswaran and Councillor Reddy? You're happy with that? Yes? Okay. Yes, Councillor, you still have the floor?
Well, that's the amendment, and I commend you because there is I think that will enhance the usefulness, also it will create a positive impact on the capital investment and return for the council. And there is a significant pent-up demand for a function center for this area. So thank you for accepting it, and I commend you to support it. Thank you.
Councillor, are you ready?
Yes, okay, so, it's a shame that this, the CEO3 came up before the other piece that comes up.
That's the confidential attachment.
Yeah, the attachment, because so the attachment, if you look at the attachment, I have many questions about the attachment.
Well, the attachment's confidential.
So I have many questions about that.
It's confidential.
I know, so we either take it up at the end, vote on the standing orders down the end, or I ask the questions. Because I've got a lot of questions on that. And I think and to be honest with you, I think the public have a right to know the answer to the questions.
Through the chair, council, in order to assist the councillors, that there are only two ways you can deal with this matter. You can move into confidential session now. We don't need to clear the chamber because there are no members of the public in the chamber. And you could ask all the questions you wanted to ask about the confidential attachment. In the alternative, you could defer consideration of this matter till the end of the meeting and move into closed session at the end of the meeting and deal with the one matter. I'm in your hands.
Whatever you think.
Okay. Yeah, oh, no. What, how is it going to affect the staff members?
We're already in confidential at the end.
No, what about the staff members?
Well, they either stay
It's now 9 o'clock.
the same thing.
It's not.
The same thing. Same difference.
So do you move to defer, councillor?
I did move to defer.
All right.
Yeah,
Defer this.
meeting, or
You're deferring the CEO report?
we're going to defer CEO3 till the end of the meeting, and we're going to move it into closed session. Okay, all those in favour? Yeah, I support it. Right. Okay, let's move on to CEO4, draft media policy, moved by councillor Pensabini, seconded councillor Reddy. Any debate, councillors?
No debate.
No, put the motion. Unanimous.
Oh, okay, some questions. I will email my question.
Okay, move on to CS1 investment report, February 2022. Moved by councillor Pensabini, seconded. Councillor Reddy. Debate around councillors?
No.
Yes.
Yes, councillor Hall.
I had a question through the chair about employee leave entitlements. It says 1.285 million. That number seems a bit low to me.
Through the chair, the amount in the employee leave entitlement reserve is calculated each year based on a funding model that takes into account the age profile of the staff and their current leave entitlements. So for staff who are, you know, in the maybe plus 60 plus category, we would cash back, you know, generally 100% of their employee leave entitlements. And then it would be graded down so that someone in their 20s, we might only cash back a small portion of those. And that's done annually. It's part of the council financial statements.
Any other debate councillors? I just want to commend Francis just on the new report that we have there. It's very comprehensive. Thank you very much. Put the motion, councillors. Unanimous. PS2, current status of council resolution. Do I have a mover? Councillor Dada.
I'll second.
Seconded, Councillor Hall. Any debate, councillors?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Hall.
May I please, I'm just wondering whether the South Strathfield, my motion to clean up South Strathfield should still be on there. That's number one. Number two, I recall a motion in February 2018, and my motion was landscape gardening. I'm just wondering if I could please have an update on that, you know, through an email or something.
Through the chair, if we can take those on notice, we'll get back to the council.
Councillors, any further debate? I'll put the motion. The motion unanimous.
I move it, he seconds.
Moved by Councillor Reddy, seconded by Councillor Data. Okay, any debate, councillors? PS3?
Payment of council superannuation, you should ask for.
PS3, payment of council superannuation, moved by Councillor Reddy, seconded by Councillor Data. Any discussion, councillors?
No.
Debate?
No.
Yes, I have.
Yes, Councillor Data.
On the superannuation?
No, superannuation, I want to ask a question,
Yes.
that what we get is allowance,
Yes.
not pay. So just want to make sure that the allowance is covered by that. That's what the clarification I was seeking.
So I think what I think you're trying to say, which was a question that I had, obviously we're paid a small allowance as a councillor, and what you're asking is, does that change the status of the allowance to a wage because there's a superannuation contribution attached? Is that correct?
Through the chair, no.
No. Okay.
It's still not a payment in the nature of salary.
Sorry?
A councillor expense, a councillor payment is not salary for the purpose of the Income Tax Assessment Act, but by regulation or by amendment of regulations, the government has now made the option of superannuation payments or superannuation guarantee payments on the council allowance, notwithstanding the fact that it isn't a wage.
Right.
Yep. Did that answer your question, Councillor Data?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Anything else?
Just here, there is also another.
Looks comprehensive.
Now, I want to also proposing an amendment that I want to resolve to pay that the councillor, I want to put an amendment as item 3 on this, saying that that an additional $1,500 be allocated per councillor per term to cater for ICT expenses on component that a councillor may need to perform his duties.
So what I've got, I've just been handed just from council data, an additional $1,500 be allocated per councillor per term for ICT expenses component of the councillor's expenses and facility policy.
That's a different report.
No, that's
That's part of
councillor
the 247.
It's council's expenses and facility.
Sorry, can I just get What do you mean by ICT?
What's
Councillor
ICT?
Taylor?
Information and communication technology expense. Through the chair, just to clarify, the existing expenses policy allows for a one-off payment over the term of councillors. I understand what Councillor Data is proposing is that the policy allow for an annual allowance for updating technology through the term of
This is a, is this an allowance or this is something that is, we claim back when we purchase something that we need as for our duties?
It's just a top level and you would claim against that.
Okay.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Back to 2000.
There are certain, the home office is just to search, the home office regulation for certain things. Only, you can buy printer or a cartridge, you cannot buy.
Sorry, councillors,
No.
councillors, we're in a meeting.
Yeah.
Which one?
Can I make amendments? The mayor?
Can we just,
This one. So
we'll just see whether,
I'm still a bit.
Councillor Data's, you finished with your amendments?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
councillor Reddy, is that accepted?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, and you're finished?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, councillor Chai?
Can I make amendment to one more, is number 5, whether we can encourage the councillors, to do some, professional courses?
Just can I just get the acting general manager just to answer that, because we have discussed this in the past couple of weeks.
Yes, through the chair. Look, it perplexes me somewhat some of the financial limits that exist in the current policy. It is a requirement of every council to undertake a training needs assessment for every councillor, where you do a self-assessment against what are the skills of a councillor, what are the skills of a mayor, and you self-assess. So if you have an accounting degree and you don't need financial management training, we'll give you training in something else. That once you've identified what the gaps are between, what skills are that are required by a councillor and what you have, it's a requirement on each council that we produce a development plan for each councillor, which would outline things like attendance at courses, attendance at internal training, attendance at conferences and whatnot to assist you. We don't appear to have any of those mechanisms in place. What I would suggest to you is that we will go through that process with the elected council. We will get you to do the gap analysis, work out what you need training in, and then we'll come back to you with some amendments to the policy to enable us to cover the costs of that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, councillors, any further debate? Yes, councillor Hall.
So I had, I'm then looking at 3.2.6. So how did the, 3.2.6, how did the mayor vehicle motor vehicles come off the policy and now it's coming back in the policy?
Through the chair, my understanding is that it was inadvertently missed out of the policy some years ago, and we just copied over the same policy, and the mayor still had the mayor of the day still had a vehicle, but it was just never formally covered in the policy. It was an administrative error.
Okay.
Okay. So any further debate, councillors, at all discussion? No? Okay, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Unanimous?
I'll read the next one.
Okay, the second one is for
Workshop.
moved by councillor Data, seconded by councillor Pennsylvania. Any debate, councillors?
No.
Yes.
Yes, councillor Hall.
May I please ask a question? It says the purpose of the report is to confirm the 2022 council meeting and council workshop schedule. Is there, I know there is an existing policy, I believe, where councillors can attend online. Is that still available and does it need to be anywhere else? So can all these meetings be held, can one attend these meetings online?
Council meeting or the workshop?
Either.
I'll just get through the.
Because at the moment-
My understanding, and I'll let officers correct me if I'm misleading council. My understanding is that the availability of attending virtually a council meeting continues to exist until the end of June 2022, unless the government changes relevant legislation. After that time, we revert back to the situation where councillors have to attend in person. As far as attendance virtually at any councillor workshop, I'm quite open. We've got the technology. If it suits councillors to attend remotely, I'm quite comfortable with that.
Does that need to be put anywhere so it doesn't get dropped off? No? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you, Councillor Data?
Yep,
Yes.
I am proposing an amendment as I have discussed before, and that it is for item 2, the recommendation that the councillor workshop are held on the third Tuesday of each month at 5:30 p.m. in the community meeting room, 65 Homebush Road, Strathfield. So I'm proposing an amendment for 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. as some other councillors also giving the feedback.
Is that accepted amendment, Councillor Pennsylvania? No? Okay, do I have someone else to second the motion?
Or Shane?
Yeah.
Motion for the 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m.
Or 35.
Do I need another mover, sorry?
Yeah, I can second this one, 5:30.
No, we moved the first motion, the amendment wasn't accepted, so Councillor Data will move off as the mover.
Yeah.
So do I have another mover for the motion?
Seconder.
Because there was a seconder.
There is a second, she didn't accept the amendment.
So
we are putting a shadow motion?
No,
No, this is the original motion.
you were
Is
the
there another?
mover.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
yes,
put this motion through.
you were the mover,
Yes.
so you can't move this.
Okay, that's okay. We'll put it.
Do I have another mover for the motion as it stands 4 p.m?
Oh, sure.
Councillor Hall?
Move on.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any debate, councillors?
I'm happy to remove this one, to amend this one for 5:30.
That will be shadow motion.
Yeah, it hasn't
Vote
been
for that
accepted.
later.
Okay.
We'll vote for that later. If it goes down.
We can't direct people how to vote, councillor, please.
Through the chair, just for
Thank you.
clarity, given that the amendment is solely changing one element of the motion,
Yeah.
you can move an amendment to change 4 p.m. to 5:30. That amendment, providing you had a mover and a seconder, that amendment would then be considered.
Yep.
If council votes it,
What happened,
it's incorporated in the
so
motion.
yeah.
And if it,
Councillor Pennsylvania rejected the amendment,
correct.
and then Councillor Chai said he'll second the 5:30.
Just to clarify process through the chair.
Yes, please.
There is the motion that is on the business paper.
4 o'clock.
It is for 4 o'clock, has been moved by councillor Hall, seconded by councillor Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
If councillors wish to move an amendment to change 4 p.m. to 5:30, they're welcome to do that.
Yeah.
You can move that and it can be then considered by the meeting.
Yeah.
If, if the meeting supports that,
Yeah.
then 5:30 becomes incorporated in the motion and then that's considered by council.
Okay.
If council rejects the 5:30, the amendment is rejected, then the motion on the table is 4 p.m.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yes.
Can I?
So the amendment's there,
Can I
councillor?
amend that one?
Yeah,
for-
it's on the
for-
It's on there.
computer.
No, I want to say my reasons why it's 5:30 is better than 4 p.m.
Sure.
Because 4 p.m. doesn't fit, even though not have the time commitment to something, it's okay for that. But 4 p.m. for the people work or something is not enough to catch up. Yeah, so 5:30, something like that is good for the people to, when they have work, they can come here to join. They don't have to ask for the meeting. The council is casual.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor.
Any further debate on this, councillors?
So who do we vote with first?
We're voting for the amendment. So the amendment moved by Data, seconded by Chai, and it's for the workshops to be held at 5:30 p.m. All in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Data, Councillor Chai? Against? Yeah, declaring the motion lost. We'll move back to the original motion, 4 p.m.
We'll just have to go online.
Any debate, councillors? Yes, councillor.
We have this problem, I think, every single year, and I didn't get a chance to check it. The 4th of October, is that the Tuesday straight after the long weekend? I didn't get a chance to look at it, and I don't want to touch my phone. Can somebody, am I allowed to touch my phone?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Probably,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm reliably informed that it is.
So, and every single year, some of us want to change it, some of us don't. So because it's straight after the long weekend, and a lot of people extend it, from Monday and then Tuesday. If you're away on the Monday, you've got your business papers, you get your business papers on the Friday, so you normally go away Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Through the chair, would it assist council if you moved an amendment to change that for the following week?
Next week?
No, to the
Yes.
week after.
Yes.
So
I
it
would
would be on the 4th Tuesday in that month.
I would like to move.
4th, 2nd.
Yeah.
Second, that's on the first Tuesday,
So
and we're
sorry.
changing it to the
so
second.
busy.
Sorry, 2nd Tuesday.
I would like to move an amendment that it be moved to the 11th of October. Just before your birthday.
It is my birthday.
Just before.
So movement that,
No, why?
so there'll be a point that the October
Oh,
2020 council meeting be moved to the 11th of October.
It's not moving this.
well, if you go on holidays,
No,
you have to go online.
won't be online.
Is there a seconder?
They may.
Is there a seconder for your motion, councillor Hall?
Does anybody else want to move it to the 11th?
Ready.
Does anybody else?
The
want
seconder, are you to move
You
the
said
council
my,
Yeah.
okay,
meeting? Okay.
we'll try again.
Yeah, I'll put the amendment, councillors. So we're voting for the council meeting 6:30, the workshops 4 p.m, and that the October ordinary council meeting be moved to 11 October 2022.
Through the
Yeah,
chair.
sorry.
You've got to do the amendment.
You got to do
Just
the
the amendment.
amendment first, which is to you
Moving
add
that
point
one.
3.
Okay, thank you. So what we're voting on is point 3 only, that the October ordinary council meeting be moved to the 11th of October 2022. All those in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Data, Councillor Cry, against? Declare the motion lost.
And then
And we go back to the original motion. Okay. And so we put the motion. All those in favour?
What choice do you make?
Unanimous?
It's my dog's
There,
birthday.
sorry,
So,
My dog's birthday on the 11th.
Just, can I see the motion again? Which one are we?
We voted on the original motion.
So everybody's on.
That's it.
Through the chair, the amendment was that the meeting in October be changed, the date.
A week later.
You voted on that, and that motion, that amendment was lost. Then the original motion, which is the one on the business paper, points 1 and 2 have now been put to the council, and you voted unanimously in support of 1 and 2.
So that is 4 p.m.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm voting, we voted against it, so we are going to vote against it again.
Okay.
We just voted against.
So you want
it.
council Data to be marked down as voting against it?
So the amendment has been lost.
Yes.
So we voted original motion. We have already voted, 3 of council voted against.
Okay. Through the chair, with the mayor's indulgence, you can ask for it to be recommitted, and we can then change the voting.
Sure.
Do you wish to have it recommitted?
Yeah.
Are you prepared to have it recommitted and change the voting?
So that.
So
Yeah.
so
At the
that
moment-
councillor.
Is that how you want it changed?
At the moment, it's classified as
Yeah,
unanimous,
you'd like
yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to resubmit it. I'm happy to vote again. So we'll put the motion. All those in favour, 6:30 and 4 p.m. Councillor Reedy, Councillor Swarren, Councillor Pensavini, and the mayor. I declare the motion. Oh, sorry, all those against? Data, Chai.
I'm going to walk out of the room. Can I just roll
Why?
myself out of the room?
You're here when the vote counted, so
Yeah.
you voted against.
Okay, Councillor. Okay, so I declare the motion not.
Can't roll.
Declare the motion carried. Sorry.
My legs are going
Okay.
to roll back.
EU1, audit of redundant driveways and curbs with no verges, moved by councillor Pensabeni. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by councillor Reddy. Any discussion, councillors, debate? I'd like to make an amendment on this motion, if I can. Recommendation, sorry. That the report be resubmitted at a council meeting. More detail in relation to actions council can take. That's it. If that's accepted.
Accepted.
Any debate, councillors?
No.
No, I'll put the motion.
I move the second one.
DEU2, flyover overpass Arthur Street, Cenary Drive, moved by councillor Data, seconded by councillor Reddy. Yep. Yes, councillor.
Yeah, I think, this is a very important matter that we move and the council passed until in the month of February, sometime ago. And when I was looking for a report, I was really looking for more meat into it, significant, if not just a piece of paper. So I suggest that the council resubmit this report with drawings and the budget estimate and what the budgets might be coming from, with more meat into it, that reading that, the residents will know that the council has really intention to do something. It's not just a piece of paper to put in the dustbin and forget about it. So that's what I will be requesting for, put a drawing, posting, and all of these things, so that people can look at it and say that, yes, it is. So my comment would be resubmission of this with more meeting to it, include drawing, posting, and proposed funding structure where it comes from, or which may come from. Thank you.
Okay. Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Hall, yes.
With this one, I know that there are two options. So by resubmitting it, the options are not going to change. If option 1 is 35 million, option 2 is 50 million. So whether we resubmit this or not, the costings aren't going to change. I think by resubmitting it, and maybe by what Councillor Data was saying, by it's just not going to be left in the as a piece of paper, is you want the recommendation to actually put something in motion. Well, the recommendations are here, option 1 or option 2. It's just that it's not in the recommendation, and I would assume that and I'll put the question to the chair. I assume that the recommendation is not there because we don't have 35 million, 50 million. Oh, that's right. We're going to borrow 25 to build a leisure centre, so we can't do this. So I'm just wondering, through the chair, what difference is it going to make if we submit it? Yeah. What are the numbers going to change?
Look, I'll defer to the Deputy CEO on this, but I'll make one observation, and that's the amendment in its current form is essentially committing council resources to come up with very detailed plans on a matter that, has only got very broad options at this stage. So I would suggest that if council wishes to move something, they should, well, I'm not sure that you can even move to a report on this.
To Mr. Mayor, that I think one of the things he's exactly right. The question is that it's a state road, and we can't do it. But this has been on the books for 20 years. But it's Transport New South Wales, and they won't fund it. So with those, if you remember rightly, we asked this question about 18 months ago. They came back with these are the two options that they were looking at, and then they announced the funding for the roundabout down Underwood instead. Yeah. And we council resolved me to write to them again and said, don't forget to include Arthur Street. And they wrote back and said, no, we're only doing the roundabout at Underwood, 200 million. So I don't know whether to put resources into detailed drawings, councillor Data, would be extremely expensive and time consuming for our staff on something that we can't build.
Can I just one question. Just through the upcoming federal election, I know that we did do a briefing with drawings to the candidates for the federal election for this intersection. So I think there is some basic drawings available of possible solutions. Obviously, the proposed funding strategy is a state road, councillor Data. So I don't know if that's what you want, like some sort of.
That's what I'm saying, exactly, Mr. Mayor, and also some pathway, like what are the fundings coming from? Some sort of lead, not just some sort of more meeting to it, which I also understand. Thank you. That available.
Through the chair, if all councillors want is for us to distribute information that's already available, we can take that as a question on notice and then provide it to you. You don't need a motion to get it.
Well, only the motion, Mr. Mayor, I would say that we did the motion, that's why the information came out. Otherwise, we would not have known that there is information available. It should have been through the chair. It should have been, if it was presented to some places, some people, it should have been added to it. It came, the information is being available to us because of this motion. If we knew that this information is available to us, we would not have put the motion.
But you know now.
Okay, so did you want to change the recommendation to something along the lines of that council receive a note the report of Arthur Street and that councillors be provided with the drawings provided to the
funding options,
the candidates
Previously provided.
Previously provided, that's it. Yep. Gentleman, Councillor Data, because you did raise it with me that you thought there wasn't a lot of detail in some of these DEU reports. So, yep. Okay, if everyone's happy with that, I'll put the motion. Anyone else? Is 3. Parking and safety improvements, Avenue. Moved by Councillor Data, seconded by Councillor Reddy. Councillor Data, any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm just, I think this is a motion which that we need to look at and has various options. You have got 50,000 option 1 for 400,000, option 3, the estimate cost is 50,000. But if there is some more information available, more details on how much we can expand this street, widen the street, or what is the net impact on it, then that would be would help making the decisions a bit easier to all of us. Just not enough details. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Yeah. Just through the chair to the deputy CEO. Now, this one, I think we've looked at this several times at traffic committee. Do we have the report or those details? What happened in the past with that one? Do you report?
Yeah, through engineer, we would have that. I think we did some sketches too at a couple of those traffic committees in relation to the roll curve. So I'll get all that together. And councillor, in relation to the trees being removed, I think we've done a sketch, and I'll make sure you get that, just what it would look like without the trees and how far we could go across. But the one we did on the traffic committee was look at a roll curve, and we extended the width, if I remember rightly, to get the cars to be able to park off. So I'll get those drawings together, and I'll give you some more information. So if you move to the list to defer this, I'll get it back to you with that.
Okay, we will submit it.
Defer
Defer
to the next council meeting.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I move the next one.
So hang on, what? Just the
The third report be deferred to the May 2002 council meeting.
And maybe next one.
All those sorry, can we vote on D3, please? All those in favour?
Yeah, the next one. Move.
Moving the next one.
I haven't talked. DEU4. Pedestrian access at Marlborough Road, Elmbush Bay Drive Road to Flemington Markets. Do I have a mover? Councillor Morris-Warren. Moved by Councillor Morris-Warren. Do I have a second?
Oh, come on.
Councillor Reddy. Any discussion, councillors?
Um,
I do.
we're just listening for it.
As the mover of this motion, I feel very strongly about this issue, and I hope everyone will vote for it.
Councillors, any further discussion?
Yes.
Councillor Hall, yes?
Did I read somewhere that we're going to try and get a government grant for this? No. Traffic modelling state government approval for funding would be required. So I'm assuming that would mean through the chair. That would mean that if a grant comes up in the radar of the person in charge of grants, it will get done.
We're trying to get help with this funding from the Transport New South Wales, as their asset, for us to look after it. I think they'll come to the table. We've spoken to them before.
Okay.
So hopefully we can get this done, because it's quite important down there for the residents.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, councillor Data.
Mr. Mayor, this motion, the proposal here is report and assessing the area council's traffic team are proposing that a signalized pedestrian crossing be installed in Marlborough Road and replaced with the traffic light on Parramatta Road. Mr. Mayor, this motion, a similar action has been proposed before, has failed. So people who are supporting it or people who are talking this, they are either forgetting that or not very sincere about it. This motion, this putting a traffic light in pedestrian crossing was proposed before, some years ago, and RMS didn't agree with that. RMS didn't want to put a traffic light. They didn't agree, and that's why it failed. So I have to say the list that I'm a bit disappointed that due diligence are not as being taken as much as it should. So I suggest again that his report be resubmitted with options that would make it possible, not buy some time and come back and say RMS didn't do it, so we cannot do anything, wash our hands out of it. So I propose that this report again be resubmitted with options for genuine options for funding. If that required, we have to lobby and see what the fundings may come from. We want genuine options showing whether it is possible, if it is possible, how it is possible. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, look, Councillor Maswaran, do you accept the amendment?
Genuine options that will make the project possible.
Why don't we transfer it to the traffic committee and see what the RMS is?
Oh, yeah, can I just suggest that?
Yes, Councillor.
Could I just propose some alternate wordings that the report be submitted with an options paper with respect to external funding sources?
Let's say that.
The report.
The report does say that.
Doesn't it always say that?
It's as I understand, with a number of, funding sources that have been exhausted. So I'm just
Look,
rewording.
there's nothing saying, Councillor Data, that we have we'll be updated soon on another request that we've been trying for 3 years, which we got a good result on today. So there's nothing, council will be updated on that this week. There's nothing saying that we can't try again first and see whether the people of the day will accept it. I think that's probably worth having a crack, in my opinion. I know it was rejected many years ago in your previous term, at least 6 or 7 years ago, I think. So
I would doubt that, Mr. Mayor, if I can say that, because at that time, the volume of traffic was much less and it was rejected. And now the volume of traffic is much higher. So I can only think that people probably didn't remember, and that's fine. We can accept that and we can move on with putting some options. And we are talking about here progressing through appropriate identified stakeholders and agencies. So we're not saying that council has to put the bill. We're talking about making some genuine effort if that requires some lobbying, whatever required. And that's the options should be coming to. If it was a matter of $200,000 or whatever is mentioned here, it would have been done long time ago.
Any further debate, councillors? We have that,
No.
that the report be submitted with an options paper with respect to external funding sources.
That's the amendment?
Well, I thought that was incorporated.
Oh, is that incorporating into the recommendation?
You have to, because of the report, it's noted.
We're talking about building and sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I can say, we are here talking about the genuine option and a traffic light also. We're talking about an option that takes people from the park to the market. Just a traffic light, it may be across the Marlborough Road. We're talking about the traffic light across the others, the section of the extension of Homebush Way Drive, whatever you call it, I can't remember. So this is a huge section. We are talking about an option that would build an overbridge possibly, right from the park, right through to the market.
No.
That's what we are referring here, not just the section of Marlborough Road.
A bridge.
Yeah, okay, so.
That's right. Like an overbridge was built some years ago across the boulevard, which is not used as much, but it was built, and this would be used heavily. We are talking. This is the option that we are talking about, either a tunnel or a bridge, taking people from the park.
I think, councillor, look, you've had a chance to debate, and
I've got a point of order.
yes, councillor.
My deepest apologies, David. We can't resubmit and receive the report at the same time. So my apologies. But it is an additional to the
Yes,
report.
yes, acting gentleman.
Through the chair, and I'll defer to the Deputy CEO for any further comment, but I note that the time is over 9:30. This was a receive and note report. You are now asking for council officers to provide a report that is far more expansive than the report that was, submitted in relation to this matter. I would suggest, council, that motion is out of order. It's far more expansive. If council wants a report that is as broad as you're suggesting, then I suggest that you either submit a notice of motion and seek the support of your councillors, but I don't think it's an appropriate.
Sorry, I think, look, what councillor Data and councillor Hall seconded the motions. It does say a report including possible options, and there's one option on the table here. I think that's what they were. What we were seeking was what different things we could achieve from it.
Yep.
That's
correct.
I through the chair, we will explore if there are other options, but I don't think the original intention of the report was as expansive as council.
That's why we're expanding it and can resubmit it.
But I think what councillor Data has expressed is to me that he wasn't happy that there was only one option, that there was no other alternatives looked at, because this option has been rejected several times in the past, and we brought back the same option. Is that correct, councillor Data?
Yeah, that's correct. And it runs only on partially on this section of the road. It doesn't take into consideration the full picture.
Mr. Mayor, I'll put the motion. I'll move that the motion be put.
Yeah, that council said receive and note the report, or the council the report. Which one?
Amended that the report be resubmitted with an options paper with
Yep.
respect to
Okay.
external funding sources.
I'll put the motion on. Okay, all those in favour? Unanimous?
I shall move
In
an
favour?
second.
Moved by councillor Hall, seconded by the mayor. Do you want to speak?
I have a question. It's down here where it says, we're talking about the final, the council approved the current plan for the upgrade. So attachment 3, phase 2.
That's here.
Attachment, what page?
All that separate.
And the Deputy CEO has kindly provided us with A3 copies for our approval.
Well, I have trouble to try and really look at those minutes.
I'd like to thank the Deputy CEO for this very extensive report.
So we got the,
Two options,
oh, okay.
phase 1, phase 2, attachment 2.
So attachment
And
2
there's
and attachment 3.
three.
Right, okay. Right, okay.
If you're happy, I would have make an amendment, Councillor Hall, so there's a second that.
You made your amendment, I
Yep.
just wanted to ask the
Okay,
question.
so I'll make an amendment. I've given it to Mr. McQuaid just to make it easier for us. That council notes and approves attachment 2 for the upgrade of Hudson District Park Phase 2. 2, that the following items be deleted from the plan: amphitheatre, grass sledding park, featured water ponds, concentric/misting garden. 3, the plan should include more landscaping, trees, less concrete paths, a children play fountain, barbecues and covered table and chairs of a suitable size for local families / children's birthday parties. I have discussed this with the Deputy CEO, and the funding is available in our grant that we received. I just think that the original intention of this park was not to be intensified as a sporting facility. It was supposed to be for families to sort of passively have birthday, barbecues and play and this sort of thing. So, yeah, I'd like to.
Urban Park was in.
Urban
Forest was the original.
So yeah, I put that to you, councillors.
So it's the amphitheatre and Ambush Square with Where's the amphitheatre and?
Any debate, councillors?
Yeah, I just want to say how I totally.
Sorry, Councillor Hall.
Oh, sorry.
Do you accept that, Councillor Hall?
Yes, I
Yep,
do.
thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Pennsylvania?
Yeah, can I just say that I totally accept these changes and that it's going to be more of a park rather than a concrete slab that's going to be put everywhere. Thank you for the Deputy CSO's plans. I think it's going to be more of an amenable park for our residents. Thank you very much. The barbecue areas is what, and it's what it's originally been planned for. Thank you.
Question?
Like it's just.
Yes, Councillor Hall, question.
Where would the amphitheatre be on attachment 3? Where is
We're
that?
not
Adopting attachment 2.
Yeah, where is that amphitheatre?
It's the
amphitheatre on attachment 2 that's being removed is.
But where is it on?
it is number 1, Councillor.
Next
Next to the driving range,
Yeah,
looking over the Centenary Drive.
next to number 1. One that I.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, any further debate, councillors? We've had plenty of time. We had the business papers for a week.
A week, Thursday, Friday, today's Tuesday.
Some people don't have the time to.
He does.
I'm just being facetious. Oh, there it is, the amphitheatre. I couldn't see it.
Debate? Move it.
Yeah,
Let's get it through.
councillor, if there's no further debate, I'd like to put this to you, my amendment. Okay, all those in favour?
And
Councillor
Frank,
Chai?
So we need to.
he would have been in favour of it.
Fine, unanimous.
Yeah, Shrangan, put your hand up.
Oh, there you go. Oh, no.
Hand up. Unanimous.
They didn't vote. They didn't wait for you.
What's next?
Is,
The Western Best funding.
yep, so we're going to move into close